fan of stuff, if you like watching videos as opposed to just audio, you should go and check out our live streams that are at places. Surly Mofo, dear MMO champions, please appropriately harass and offend the media losers. We will do that. Just for you, sir. We were planning on talking about anime all night, but yeah, I guess we'll cover some news instead.
Wow, 71 followers on Rumble.
Do we really?
Yeah.
Wow. I should really edit our videos.
There are 2 viewers, maybe I'm included in that. There are 2 viewers waiting for you to start the stream.
We're going. Is it not started on Rumble?
I don't believe so.
It should be started everywhere. Yeah, we should be going. We should have started already. Maybe it's a delay.
No.
Nothing?
Not going. Well, it says live now.
Okay.
Maybe I just needed to refresh. Oh, yes. Oh, the map as a background. Is it movable?
Yeah, no, that's my third monitor.
Is it tracking what you're doing?
Well, I'm going to move it manually to what we're talking about, but yes.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Yeah. It's pretty nice. It got the chat overlay, large windows, and we've got a secondary right monitor for when we really want to focus in on something and not have the chat overlay. It's pretty suave. I workshopped it with Serpent in the chat room over this past week.
Wow, a workshop that actually yielded something.
It's because it was an actual workshop, you know. We didn't just say let's workshop it. We were actually doing it.
hey, you know what? We're wasting content.
That's true. Fair point there. Give me 1 second.
No.
All right. Ready to go when you are.
Let's get it on.
Get it on.
It must be quite apparent by this time to any thinking individual that the people of our country and people of other countries all over the world are coming to face a moment of grave decision. The time when we will choose the course of our future.
Oklahoma, Texas, New York, Philadelphia, around the world, it's going to be a big nut bust.
The Millennial Media Offensive podcast is now live.
That's right, you're listening to MMO number 221. Today is June 2nd, 2026, and from the great city and state of St. Louis, Missouri, I'm Dan Gehring.
And from America's South Coast, where I don't think so, mate, I'm John G. Dew.
You don't think so, mate? What's that?
You are not culturally aware of I don't think so, mate, are you?
No, evidently not.
That's what the officer, the peace officer in England told Henry Nowak.
I don't think you are, mate. That's right. I don't think you were after he said he was stabbed.
Yes.
I am culturally aware of that. Sorry, I was focused on Pride Month, you know. Big celebration.
Well, you know, it's funny you should mention Pride Month. And by the way, it was just a white guy. Who cares about that? Let's talk about Pride Month. I have a Happy Pride Month compilation for all of our proud listeners.
Okay, I'll go ahead and play that.
I want to check him out. Wow, look at the muscles in this guy.
Look at that guy, how handsome he is.
I'll kiss him. I'll kiss those big, powerful men down there.
Prime Minister Modi is the nicest looking guy. He's a handsome guy, by the way. That's usually not my thing, but he is a good looking sucker.
No, I'm looking at the legs. He's this beautiful guy. He's got legs like tree trunks.
We have to keep our country gay.
I was expecting some Arnold Palmer talk in there.
Oh, that would have been great. That would have been great. That's what it needed. That's really what it needed.
To cap it off.
But no, I think this, you know, people have said about Trump that he especially in 2016, Trump V1, Trump 1.0, that he gave, specifically, they say that he gave black men their balls back. That's something that has been said about Trump before, primarily because on the campaign trail, his pitch to the black community was, what do you have to lose? And it worked for him. He had more black voter turnout than any Republican president, I think, in history. Well, yes, in history. So, this president gives us license for things as black Americans, well, as Americans generally, because neither one of us are black. I mean, you're Italian, but we're not black.
Yeah, close second.
So,
just a step down from being black is being Italian. Oh, yeah. Good work.
So this president gives us license, and I think we should use one of his potentially last Pride days, or Pride months, I'm sorry, to take a little license. I think we should make America proud again, and we should take every opportunity we can as straight men, you and I having children, so we've got proof, but we should make brotherhood great again, and you should take the opportunity this Pride Month to I don't want to say circumvent the more extreme elements of Pride Month, but compliment another man. Make it okay to give other men compliments this month.
John?
Dare I say, rise above the bigotry.
I've always admired you for your penis.
You're the only Arnold Palmer I know.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know you were looking in the showers. Oh man,
check out the show's video stream if you haven't yet.
Hey, I'm fully clothed. Not to disappoint anybody. Next week I'll be wearing my straps. It'll be great. It'll be a good time. Yes, happy Pride Month. There's people that want to take it back. They want to rename it to something else.
No, I think we keep it Pride Month and just we reclaim it through our actions.
Did you see the tweet I sent you the other day from the Jewish Democrats?
Did you send it to me on Twitter?
Not on Twitter. I sent it in the group chat.
I must have missed it. I probably saw it and.
Let me see if I can pull it up on the screen here. It was from the Jewish Democrats, or the Jewish Democrats account, and it was, yes, here it is. Pride is a Jewish value. From the Jewish Dems, the U.S. Jewish Dems. Pride is a Jewish value. Possibly true. But also one of the 7 deadly sins, if I'm not mistaken. Now, I am a Catholic. I might be mistaken. But isn't pride one of the 7 deadly sins?
Yes, it is widely considered one of the 7 deadly sins.
Evidently, also a Jewish value.
Well, let's see. Are there any other 7 deadly sins that we can attribute to Judaism?
I'm sure there are. Gluttony. They love their hummus.
Okay, Roman Catholic theology are pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth.
Well,
I don't know how many of you have seen the video of David Portnoy trying to nail a gate onto a fence, but I could make an argument for sloth.
I was going to say 6 out of 7 for sure, but I don't know about sloth. You nailed it. You got it. There you go.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd give him a pass on gluttony.
You think so? He's not a glutton.
I think so. Yeah. Well, he's a little chubby, but I think that's more attributable to sloth than gluttony. He does only eat 1 piece of pizza. It's the rule. You know the rules. But no, we kid. We love our Jewish brethren here, and no matter what your values are.
Yeah, we'll make fun of you.
Jews. Let's see. We said he's a white guy. He doesn't matter. That's 4.
Habsburg.
Who put that one. Yes, I know. I'm saying Habsburg as a.
I'd say that.
I don't follow your life. We've never discussed the link between the Habsburgs and the South.
So the Habsburgs were horribly deformed people. Like they were generations and generations of inbreeding.
Oh, you're talking about the Looksmaxers.
I'm mixing. I made up a new term, Habsburg maxing, which is just people that are.
I wasn't following the South part of it.
Oh, I was just applying it to the South, just because it's funny.
Sure, just throw it around.
Let's
Okay, let's get this thing back on track for a moment.
Let's do it.
I feel like I should ask you how your week was. I don't think we spoke in between shows this week. We usually don't. We usually just do this off the cuff, as you probably couldn't tell.
Right. My week was good. I bought a hobo a beer and I replaced a timer for my in-laws pool, which I have very little to do with pool maintenance, but as far as I could tell, it was replacing 3 wires, so I did that. But bought a hobo a beer. I was at a gas station, and I got out of my car, and this guy was leaning up against the wall in a way that it would be awkward for me not to acknowledge him. And he starts going on about his wife kicking him out of his house. I see a Bud Light next to him, and so as to not verge into feelings territory with the fella, I said, you want another? He goes, yes. Instantly stops the story about his wife kicking him out of the house and just says, yes. So I go and I buy him a Bud Light tall boy, and that was it. That was like the highlight of my week, I would say, was avoiding having a conversation with a human being by feeding their alcohol addiction. Pretty bad. How was your week?
Well, sometimes you got to follow your gut.
That's true.
My week was good. I had in-laws in town over the weekend. I worked a normal work week and did some painting over at the new place. So got to experience some nice fumage.
Oh, I love the smell of paint.
Yeah, me too. You ever tried gasoline?
I actually, no joke, one of my top 5 favorite smells is the smell of diesel fuel in the morning.
Not a joke.
It's true. Just reminds me of like early morning road trips to somewhere that we would leave at like 5 a.m. and just smell the truck diesel. I loved it.
Now that's American nostalgia.
It is, because they make it not stink anymore. It's like that's the best part of diesel is the smell.
Yeah. I think that's the DEF, Blue DEF. I think that has basically a detergent in it or something to that effect. But we should make an MMO cologne line.
Yeah.
Amerostalgia. And it should just be diesel fuel.
Diesel fuel perfume.
Off-road diesel fuel.
A diesel cologne. And you just spray it on and you smell like you've been...
I'm sure Vin Diesel's looking for work.
Ugh. Speaking of Pride Month, Vin Diesel, he's gay. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
That might be true. That might have just been a fake thing I read on Twitter, but I'm pretty sure he's gay.
I'm doubting that. Would you compliment Vin Diesel if you came across him on the street?
What a guy. I would kiss that guy. No, Vin Diesel is not gay. He's been in a long-term relationship with model Paloma Jimenez since 2007 and has 3 children with her. Okay.
I think the effect is the same.
Would you want me to call her Paloma Jimenez? She's one of them Mexican ladies, isn't she?
Jimenez?
Jimenez. Yeah.
Not Jimenez?
Jimenez. I had a fraternity brother with the same last name.
She's good looking.
Yeah. Not gay.
Would you consider her to be just a touch mousy?
You had that conversation. I still don't know. Perhaps she is a bit mousy, but I got to do this for Vin Diesel because I pretty much called him a gay. So.
You are not
gay.
It sounds like you're about to say something else if you don't cut it off a little too early.
I know. No.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing some pictures here. She's a little mousy, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's what he's into.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's right. So I take it back. I hope you have an average June, Vin Diesel.
All right. How about we revisit Henry Nowak?
Okay.
And I think it's actually pronounced Novak. But yes, Henry Nowak was stabbed to death in the UK. No, it's an abrupt change of tone, but stick with us. Henry Nowak was stabbed to death in the UK, and this was a while ago, but the trial concluded for his murderer, and I can say murderer legally because the fellow was convicted, found guilty, I should say. But this is a pretty good rundown from the BBC. This is Henry Nowak Rundown, BBC.
It was on a Wednesday last December that Henry Nowak left his university halls for the last time. CCTV at the Hobbit pub shows Henry on his own. Later, he passes the pub again and heads off towards home. This is Vikram Digwa, a Sikh whose faith obliges him to carry a ceremonial knife called a kirpan. Henry crossed paths with him on Belmont Road. As he strolled up the street in the dark, Henry is heard singing to himself and yawning in a video he's filming on his phone at the time. His phone camera also captures a very brief exchange with his killer. Henry was heard saying, "You're a bad man, say you're a bad man, go on." Digwa replied, "I am a bad man." This first-year accountancy and finance student ended up being stabbed 4 times. And cut on the face. When the police arrived, Vikram Digwa insisted he'd been the victim of a racist attack. Officers initially handcuffed Henry, despite him saying, "I've been stabbed." Henry then said, "I can't breathe," and went silent. Henry died here in the street.
The pathologist who spoke in court was clear. There was nothing officers could have done that day to save Henry. It's so important to me that I say that I'm sorry that Henry was handcuffed and arrested in the moments before he lost consciousness.
When the jury declared Digwa guilty, there were tears of relief from Henry's family. Vikram Digwa's mother, Kiran Kaur, was found guilty of assisting an offender by removing the knife from the murder scene. Her son, described in court as a man who likes weapons, is due to be sentenced on Monday.
God, I wonder what they'd say about me in court.
Now, this is an interesting case for at least one reason. In the UK, the Sikhs are allowed by law to carry their ceremonial, fully functioning ceremonial kirpans. The only restriction is that the blade cannot be longer than 5 inches, which is plenty to kill someone. Meanwhile, the rest of the British body politic, citizenry, is disallowed from carrying any weapons. And if you so much as admit to having an extra shoe on your person and intending to defend yourself with said third shoe, you can be put in jail in the UK for brandishing or carrying a weapon. It doesn't have to be a classically defined weapon. It's based on intent.
Yeah, I remember, to your point about the locals not being able to, I remember seeing these amnesty boxes. You know, you've been to the airport where they have the marijuana amnesty boxes. Yeah. Where if you got weed on you, you can just dump it in the box.
No, it's just like the water amnesty boxes.
Yeah, pretty much. You just throw out bottles of water. And breast milk, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
That's a stump I will not get on right now. But they had these amnesty boxes, and around them were only cowards carry. And basically that was the name of it, and you were supposed to dump your knife in there if you had one. If you had a knife, you're supposed to put it in this only cowards carry box. And that was a big thing in UK. You know, they took the guns, now they took that. I think the only solution here is for the good people of Britain, who are already, you know, a lot of them are Anglicans, to start their own religion where their religious requires them to carry a 9mm.
Why does this have to be limited to Britain? I had this same thought. The only logical conclusion is to basically you could reference Jesus Christ saying, I think it's beat your plowshares into swords. If you do not have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. The plowshares is the reverse. It is the swords will be beaten into plowshares. But he says, if you do not have I believe he was in the garden and said, if you do not have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. You could base it off of that. And if you were really committed, you could do this. Now, it would never fly because you're not brown in most cases. If you're claiming to be a Christian, the probability is that you're white. And it wouldn't fly because this has nothing to do, in my opinion, this has nothing to do with religion. This is about pacifying a minority population in the UK, this whole Kirpan law. Now, I don't blame the Sikhs for this. Now, I blame Henry Nowak's killer, but it's not the Sikhs' fault for having this tradition and living under a government that prostrates before you when you make these requests. Honestly, good for them for gaming the system.
Yeah.
But the fact that
there is no game for the
Right.
general populace that lives there. Yeah.
Yes. That is the issue. Now, I've seen that there are protests happening in certain parts of the UK right now. I feel like these are just flashes in the pan and won't amount to anything. Maybe I'm just pessimistic about the British populace because there can be, I mean, there is a possibility that something like this would cause a change in the populace. But historically, the Brits have not shown any will when it comes to defending themselves from the indifference of their government.
Right. It is upsetting, to say
Now,
the
I'll
least.
also say this, and I think I'm not saying that this is a good thing or a bad thing. I think this is just an observation, and this is the way I see basically the fabric of reality. And you can disagree, and I'm sure many people will. But one of the reasons, the primary reason that I'm saying this is a flash in the pan and won't make a difference is because the people protesting are targeting the police.
Well, I mean,
And I think if this was going to make a difference, if something had actually changed in their minds and they were dead set on making a difference, they wouldn't care about the police. They would care about the population to whom Henry Nowak's murderer was a member. And again, I don't think that would necessarily be a good thing, but it would be totally different than being upset and skirmishing with the police. And if you watch these videos of these skirmishes in the UK today, you've got the people in front who are just basically throwing their shoulder into riot shields and throwing trash cans from the back. And in the middle,
What the hell is even that?
my apologies. I meant to. It's the same button on something else that I meant to hit.
So you have the front line of people throwing their shoulder into riot shields. The second line in these skirmishes is mildly overweight Brits holding their phone up trying to capture the video. And then the back line are people in hoodies who are throwing trash cans at the police.
Well, I think the real conundrum here is the fact that a random brown guy can accuse you of racism and you get arrested right away.
Oh, wait a second. I can set that up. This is actually from a conservative media outlet in the UK. And this is the Motive Talk clip. And this is going to make that exact point.
Do we know what the motive was, if it wasn't racist abuse that he said?
No, there was no exact talk of what the motive may have been, although the prosecution said in court that Henry Novak had recorded a video of Digwa saying, go on, say you're a bad man in the video. Digwa turns around and does say he is a bad man. But in that in the prosecution, they said that he did not like to be recorded. Digwa said to the court that he was afraid for his life. He was petrified that the curb pan was going to be used against him, and that many Sikhs had been filmed and harassed, and these videos had gone viral. So that possibly could have been a motive. On the night, though, there's no real way of knowing what was exactly going through Digwa's head.
My point with this clip is that the broadcaster has this preconceived notion that she implies with her question that if the motive had been responding to a racist attack, this all wouldn't matter. When she says, do we know what the motive is if it wasn't in response to a racist attack? That is a very deeply ingrained notion in her mind and in whoever's mind wrote that question, that it would have been totally fine if this was a racist attack on
then it's justified.
Digwa, then it's justified.
That's insane.
And that's not something that goes away easily or quickly or maybe ever.
No, it's ingrained in their society that words are violence. That there is such thing as racist speech, and you can be killed for it.
That's right. That's right. That you deserve to die for it. Make no mistake. So I like these little funny, you could say ironic if you wanted to, things that just, this is one of those events that has the little peculiarities associated with it that really make you think. It can throw you down some holes if you let it. But what's funny to me about this, and funny in a curious way, not funny in a ha-ha way, what's ironic about this, are you familiar with what Novak means, or what origin that name is and what it means?
I'm not, no.
I didn't expect you to be. But Novak is of either German or Czech origin, and it literally means new, but it's generally used, the name generally is understood as to refer to a newcomer to a particular region. And that is, there's something about that is just almost poetic, morbidly poetic.
To get killed by a newcomer.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a sad state
now,
of
I don't know
of
if
the
you
world
saw
over
the I don't know if you saw the image that's been going around of Novak's hand being handcuffed and the female officer's claw hovering over his hand as it's being handcuffed. Obviously an altered image. But at the same time, I think it's the best example of truly AI generated art that we've ever seen. It resonates with people. It has exploded online, and it's poetic. It really represents the situation that many, probably not enough people, feel they're living under.
Yeah, I just pulled up the photo on the stream. I didn't realize it was Nick Fuentes that had retweeted it or tweeted it out.
I don't think it originated with Fuentes.
Probably not. Accused of racism.
I think we would be remiss not to address the obvious retort that is incoming, if not already being championed by the left, that is, well, did you support George Floyd? And the easy refutation, and I think correct refutation, is that Henry Novak was not killed by police. You can argue that his death was solidified or guaranteed by the police. Henry Novak wasn't killed by the police if you assume and buy into the narrative that George Floyd was killed by police.
Right.
But this is not the same thing, because Henry Novak was murdered by another citizen, not by, again, if you accept the general narrative, not by a police officer.
Right. I didn't think the Sikhs were like violent people. Usually, this happened a lot. I thought the Sikhs were supposed to be. I knew Sikhs in college, and they were fine. They didn't drink alcohol. Sometimes they came to parties and brought alcohol for other people.
Well, you have to at least acknowledge that they're persecuted in India because of their ongoing open rebellion against the Indian government, which I don't condemn open rebellions as a rule, but you have to acknowledge the capacity for violence and what they would have in their culture as a justified violence when they feel it's necessary. And that's where the Kirpan comes from, is, they feel it is a deeply ingrained tradition to be able to defend themselves.
Right.
And I believe there are stories about the Sikh brigades in World War I being some of the most ferocious. I think I've read about those a while back, so I could be a little mistaken, but I think they have a pretty well-known reputation for being ferocious and willing to fight when they feel it's necessary. Now, I don't think that maps directly with them being a generally violent population, because I would hold a population that isn't generally violent but is willing to fight in high regard.
Trying to think of another example of that. Rooftop Koreans.
It's more broad than the Sikh population.
But they were there. Rodney King riots, 1991, on top of their building with whatever firearm they possessed.
And who knows, maybe that population in Los Angeles was a specific sect of Koreans or a specific ethnic group within the Korean group that has a predisposition to defend what they feel is theirs.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They were the sect of Korean that doesn't like anyone else but Koreans.
Were they Moonies?
I have no idea. I just the joke there is that Koreans are notorious for not liking anybody that's not Korean.
Yeah,
they are. Some of the most racist people, and good for them too, that I've ever met are Spanish old women. Old Spanish women were so racist when I was in Spain. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. They were very wary of other cultures. My grandma, she was Italian, and she was very much not a fan of other cultures either. That's just how she was.
That is the standard for human existence through all of time, save the last maybe couple of centuries.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's a reason why.
Not even couple of centuries. Maybe the last 50 years.
Maybe there's a reason why turkeys don't hang out with rabbits and vice versa. You feel comfortable with people that look, act, and think like you. And I think this is only really a problem for people in these white countries who have had their universities and societies infiltrated by people that are yelling and shouting and saying how wrong that is.
Potentially.
No.
But we'll see what comes of the outrage in Britain, the UK. Again,
Nothing.
I that's my opinion. That's my expectation, I guess I should say, is that this will this will peter out.
Well, there have been some concessions, and I don't know. I can't remember if I brought the clip. I know I chopped it. I don't know if I played it, but about the fellow that basically said, the unchecked migration is why we have this rise of the right wing across all of Europe, the right wing policies. Does that ring a bell to you?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty obvious statement to make. So I'm sure we've had somebody saying it.
So this week, the EU has apparently greenlit the returning of migrants to their homeland, and part of that is these return hubs. Have you heard about return hubs?
No, I haven't.
Oh, I'll play the clip. I want to see if I can find an example of a return hub on Twitter while this plays.
The EU countries and European Parliament on Monday agreed on a controversial law aimed at speeding up the return of migrants with no legal right to stay in Europe, marking the bloc's toughest migration policy shift in decades. Policymakers say the so-called return regulation is key to accelerating returns and is the cornerstone of the EU's crackdown on irregular migration. It also reflects a broader political shift in Europe, with conservatives, sometimes backed by the far right, pushing for a tougher approach to migration. Civil society groups point to a xenophobic turn in EU politics. According to official figures, only 29% of migrants with no legal right to remain in Europe leave the EU. At the heart of the law is a provision allowing EU countries to set up deportation centres outside the bloc, known as return hubs, if they conclude an agreement with a non-EU country. The hubs can be either places of transit or locations where a person is expected to stay, marking a significant departure for current rules. Most migrants can only be returned to their country of origin or to a country with which they have a proven connection. Under the new system, that requirement would be removed.
So basically, they're going to return people to wherever, just like just like Trump admin has been doing. And it's probably not going to be as intense, but the return hubs themselves are the interesting part, because I found a picture of one in Greece where it is effectively a probably 20-foot high fence with barbed wiring and then these apartment buildings in it. And I have a feeling that Germany probably would have a hard time making one of these, because it looks a significant amount like a concentration camp, or when they were walling off parts of the city to become the Jewish ghettos. But I think that's funny, because this is clearly Ursula von der Leyen and the EU trying to appease the people of the EU and say, don't vote for the right-wing people. Look, we'll take care of the issue. So it's lip service, but I thought that was kind of eye-opening this week, at least.
Well, the only real change here, from what I gather, is this removal of the stipulation that there has to be a proven link to someone's country of origin for them to be sent back. And I can imagine someone who comes to Europe on a boat that almost sinks before it reaches Europe probably doesn't have many provable links to wherever they came from.
Yeah. And then there's also the I'm a gay Pakistani rule in the UK, apparently.
Yes, my initial question was, are we going to get more aggressive probing under this law?
It's possible, especially during this month. I think
Yes.
that the aggressive probing peaks during the month of June.
In
If I
the
had to
spirit
guess.
of the holiday, I'm going to have to ask you to remove your pants.
Oh, that's Europe. Europe is such a fun place right now. I saw like an article of somebody. It was like basically somebody seeking financial advice of like, I can probably make half of what I'm making in the United States, but my wife wants to go to Europe or Germany or something like that. I think it was on Reddit because everyone was like, go to Europe. It's way better. Even with half the money, it'll be great. It'll be great. Just typical Reddit stuff.
But of course.
All right.
Another fun place this time of year is the Middle East.
Ooh, I like the Mideast.
Yes, the Mideast, notorious for its June celebrations. And we got some news. I actually have an Iran clip this week. It's an update from ABC to kick us off.
Here we go.
We do begin here with the breaking news. The U.S. ceasefire with Iran on the brink of collapse. Iran firing missiles. The U.S. bombing Iranian sites. And what President Trump told ABC News about this late today. The Iranian military launching missiles and drones at U.S. troops in Kuwait. Iran threatening to cut off talks. The U.S. bombing Iranian radar and drone sites, calling it self-defense. Amid all of this today, oil prices going up again. And what President Trump told our John Carl late today. Rachel Scott leads us off from the White House.
Tonight, the U.S. ceasefire on the brink of collapse. Iran firing missiles at U.S. troops in Kuwait. Oil prices rising, and the U.S. saying it retaliated in self-defense. Today, Iran threatening to cut off negotiations entirely after Israel targeted southern Lebanon again. President Trump today saying he couldn't care less if the talks collapse, saying if they're over, they're over. But late today, ABC News has learned the president did get on the phone with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to try to halt the bombing in southern Lebanon, to keep the Iranians at the negotiating table. Netanyahu insists Israel will not leave southern Lebanon. The president telling our John Carl there was a little glitch today, but I turned that one around very quickly. But tonight, amid the enormous stakes now 3 months into this war with Iran and global oil prices inching up today, gas prices here at home hovering at $4.27 a gallon. The president fully aware of the pressure to negotiate a deal with Iran.
And so tonight, hours after Iran threatened to call off these talks, the president insists they are back on. But the stakes here are so high. The Strait of Hormuz is still closed, and Iran has not agreed to turn over that enriched uranium. David.
Rachel Scott with the breaking news from the White House. Rachel, thank you.
I'm sure you have, but have you seen what Trump had reportedly said to Bibi Netanyahu?
Yes, I have an article linked in the show notes. And I will read a bit of this. The headline from the Jerusalem Post is, "You're effing crazy. Trump berates Netanyahu in tense call over Beirut strikes." One source summarizing part of, this is the subtitle now, one source summarized part of Trump's comments as, quote, "Everybody hates you now. Everybody hates Israel because of this," said the report by Axios.
Accurate. Yeah. Second source said Trump at one point yelled, "What the F are you doing?"
Well, we've seen this before with the conversation that Trump had with the reporters before we bombed Iran's nuclear material, where he said, what you have is two countries. They've been fighting for so long that they don't know what the F they're doing. So we've had this before.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Sorry.
Yes, that's it.
Yep.
That is the quote. This is an adult show. Because this is not the first time we've seen this line from the Trump administration.
Ooh, you just got
I took
crispy.
a little.
Sorry. Well, you want me to tell you, or you want me to let you be crispy?
It's the Jews. Because I've seen this from the administration before, I took a little bit of inspiration from your line on Marco Rubio playing a bit of 44D chess with his Israel forced us into this, to think a little more deeply about this. And it's easy as someone who's been critical of this war to say, oh, he's not as crazy as we thought. Maybe he's actually, maybe he's not just completely beholden to Israel behind closed doors. But this seems to happen every time there is a growing dissatisfaction in the American political discourse. Every time the dissatisfaction with this conflict reaches a fever pitch, the Trump administration supposedly chastises Bibi Netanyahu. And what solidified this theory for me, the theory that I will explain in stark terms in a moment, was Mark Levin. Mark Levin tweeted in all caps about how this was traitorous for this to leak to Axios, this conversation. It harms the U.S. and benefits the Ayatollah. What Mark Levin did there is
confirm
verify
that this
happened.
Yeah.
To me, this is nothing but cover. This was, if it happened at all, a staged conversation with someone in the room that the administration knew would leak it, or a staged leaker who gave Axios a canned story about Trump being the big man in the room, chastising Netanyahu, who had gotten out of control. It plays with the base. The base breathes a sigh of relief, and Netanyahu benefits because he can say to his people in Israel, I'm doing what's best for Israel regardless of what America says.
So a little information warfare.
Yes, I think this is exactly what this is. Do not be fooled. Nothing is as it seems. This is theater.
I like it. I don't hate it. Can't prove it, but I don't hate it. I think there's I think there is some truth probably to that. Which is as weak of a statement as I can make.
The reason that Trump was apparently so mad at Bibi was because of the IDF's actions in Lebanon. So I went and pulled a news clip because we hadn't talked about this yet. I had heard about it, but I hadn't covered it yet. But this is a BBC clip covering the IDF's actions in Lebanon.
President Trump says Israel will not attack Lebanon's capital, Beirut, and Hezbollah has agreed to halt its rocket and drone fire against Israel. The president made the comments after a phone call with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He said he'd also spoken to representatives of Hezbollah. Iranian officials have increasingly been making it clear that there could be no agreement if Israel continued its offensive against Hezbollah in Lebanon. Thousands of Lebanese have been fleeing the southern suburbs of Beirut after Mr. Netanyahu ordered attacks, despite the ceasefire, on the area where Hezbollah has long had its stronghold, calling them terrorist targets in Dahir. John Sudworth reports now from Beirut.
Israel's warning came just before 10 in the morning, and within minutes, families from this neighborhood, deeply loyal to Hezbollah, were piling their children and belongings into cars and heading for safety.
Are you guys leaving?
This woman tells me she is, but she's okay with it. Even if we're struck, we will support Hezbollah. She says it will be victorious.
Excuse me, why are you leaving?
We'll be back, this man says, and he too speaks of victory. The Dahir district, where the militant group has deep roots, has been left relatively untouched for the past few weeks. But the Israeli Prime Minister said that was about to change. Together with the Minister of Defense, he said, "I have instructed our military to attack terror targets in Beirut." Israel says it's fighting to stop this. The barrages of rockets and drones fired from Lebanon by Hezbollah, and that once again today had to be intercepted by its missile defences. It's a constant threat for the fatigued communities below.
So that's a bit of a rundown of Israel's attacks in southern Lebanon. And apparently they were considering targeting Lebanon's capital, but Trump, put a stop to that.
They're not actually going to bomb them. Yeah, it's a bad situation that they're in, because the IDF specifically, and the IDF, they're part of Israel's army, obviously, but they are also just troops taking commands. They move north, they get shelled by Hezbollah. They pull out, they get shelled by Hezbollah. And I'm not defending Israel by any means, but I mean, they're talking about the worst neighbors in the world, right? Israel. It is a cluster. And it is the fact that you brought up, we have not talked about this on the show because there have been so many different events happening around the world. And this one seems so insignificant, but it has been pretty much in the news, or has not been in the mainstream media, at least in any significant capacity, for the past couple of months. There's mentions of it here or there, but no one's really talking about it. It's all about Iran and the Strait of Hormuz and oil prices.
Right. Israel has been operating in Lebanon pretty freely.
Yeah. Ever since Iran, the initial wave of Iran, that's when they started going in on Lebanon, evidently attacking Hezbollah, and the media coverage of this is really bad, the economy is really bad, Trump's doing a really bad job, has just run cover for Israel on a global stage.
Yeah, more or less. Now, the reason that this is enough of an issue that Trump allegedly had to address it is evidenced at the UN. I know, laugh track, cue the laugh track. But I have a clip from an interaction, or not an interaction, but some coverage of discussions happening at the UN about Israel's actions in Lebanon. So this is UN, Lebanon, Israel.
An emergency session called by France as Israel drives north of the Litani River.
With panic spreading widely among the Lebanese population.
One of the UN's senior political affairs officials told the council Israel's presence inside Lebanon is a clear violation of Lebanese sovereignty and of the resolution that's meant to keep the peace. But she said the answer cuts both ways. Hezbollah, too, must give up its weapons. France drew the sharpest line.
Le refus de toute occupation israélienne du Liban. Opposition to any lasting Israeli occupation of Lebanon and Lebanon's sovereignty and territorial integrity are not negotiable. We do not accept the occupation of positions on Lebanese soil or the establishment of a buffer zone. We do not accept evacuation orders, restrictions preventing displaced persons from returning to their homes, or acts of destruction.
Lebanon went further, calling the advance an occupation and demanding the council act as one.
The establishment of security zones and the demarcation of geographic lines constitute a direct occupation and a flagrant violation of Lebanon's sovereignty and territorial integrity. This council must speak in one voice and condemn such acts of aggression.
But the United States, echoed by Israel, put the blame elsewhere, on Hezbollah and its backers in Tehran. Washington accused Iran of ordering its proxy to prolong the war and derail U.S. brokered talks, and spelled out its own terms for ending it.
Colleagues, the path is clear.
Hezbollah stops attacking Israel, the Lebanese armed forces and the legitimate government of Lebanon assert control over Lebanese territory, and Iran stops using Lebanon as a forward operating base. And the Lebanese people, who have suffered for far too long, finally get a chance to rebuild a country that belongs to them, not Hezbollah, not its thug leadership, and certainly not to Tehran.
With direct U.S.-hosted talks between Israel and Lebanon, the question now hanging over the Council is if negotiators can really reach a lasting ceasefire before the war and Israel's occupation of Lebanon reach any further. Gabriel Zondo, Al Jazeera, at the United Nations in New York.
Yeah. We'll say Iran's claims about the ceasefire agreement pertaining to Israel and Lebanon is, kind of one of the things that makes you roll your eyes, but Hezbollah is a real issue in Lebanon. And that's what Israel is using to attack it, obviously. But I just don't like that Iran is like, well, if Israel keeps attacking Hezbollah, the ceasefire's off. It's just bad negotiation.
I think it's part of their strategy to prolong the conflict.
Of course. They want to kick it down the road as long as they can because they think they can outlast Trump. Right now, do you still think that he won't make a deal if it's a bad deal regardless of the situation?
I still, my gut tells me he won't.
Man.
Do you think he's going to face a decision that requires him to make a bad deal?
He's got a month. That's still my hypothesis. Is he wants to have this wrapped up by the 4th of July. Whether or not it's a good or bad deal, I think depends entirely. But I think by the 4th of July, there'll be some news. And I'm hoping it's not another, well, the ceasefire is in place. You know what I mean? Where he just randomly says it on Friday, 10 minutes before markets close, and says, ceasefire is in place, talks are going great. And all the stocks rally and it closes. And then Iran, of course, denies it 10 minutes later. But who knows? But I really do think the target for him is July 4th, and I think the Iranians are smart to that strategy too. And so that's part of the prolonging it. And right now it seems like it has completely fallen apart again. How long does it take to get back to the table from it falling apart? I don't know. A couple of days, a week, a month.
Well, Marco Rubio in Congress today said the war's over.
I'm sure they did. The truth of the matter is, and we've said this on previous shows, is that no one's going to do anything about the ongoing conflict in Iran in Congress because both the left and the right are filled with neocons that want to see this war happen. And they'll do lip service. They'll go on MS Now and do lip service, but no one's ever going to actually vote to stop this, period.
Yeah, I don't think they will either.
It'd be interesting to see people that have 2028 presidential aspirations to see what kind of genuflecting at the altar of performative actions they do.
I think we should find a way to require a Q&A session for anyone that wants to be a presidential nominee, so that we can get on the record, their take on all of this as of tomorrow.
That would be good.
A flash debate.
That would be good. If it weren't for people like Gavin Newsom, who really don't have any sort of skin in the game when it comes to this, effectively a political outsider when it comes to the international stage.
Yeah. No consequences for whatever he would say.
Exactly. All right. I see you have another Iran folder in here.
Yeah, well, it's not another folder. It may be a duplicate. But I do have another segment within the Iran, or truly more accurately Middle East folder, and this is about the new arrangement for cooperation.
Okay. I saw a headline about this. Trashman actually sent me a headline about this.
Well, if you want to talk about some, okay, well, let's do this is from Drop Site. So let's do the Israel NDAA setup from Drop Site.
Israel and the United States may be on the verge of one of the most significant changes in their military relationship in decades. And if critics of the proposal are correct, it could fundamentally change how military aid from the US to Israel works, how transparent that relationship is, and how deeply Israeli defense companies become integrated into America's military-industrial base. The proposal is reportedly being advanced through the 2027 National Defense Authorization Act. For those unfamiliar, the NDAA is a massive annual defense bill that authorizes spending and policy for the US military. Because it is considered must-pass legislation, it has historically bypassed the ability for senators to veto it and has become a vehicle to get laws passed that wouldn't otherwise pass on their own, such as this one. But what exactly is being proposed here, and why does it matter? According to the proposal, the United States and Israel would greatly expand cooperation across nearly every area of military technology. This includes artificial intelligence, quantum technologies, cyber capabilities, and a wide other range of defense sectors. Supporters argue that this would strengthen both countries' military capabilities and accelerate innovation. Critics, however, say something much bigger is taking shape. They argue that, if fully enacted, this proposal will create a level of military-industrial integration between the United States and Israel that exceeds what America has with any other country in the world, significantly to Israel's benefit. And this is where the controversy begins.
Of course, because what benefit do we have? Or what do we get out of it?
Now, if you recall, we get cherry tomatoes. If you recall, Netanyahu, on the 60 Minutes segment that I brought a few weeks back, said that he is actually in favor of the U.S. cutting off all aid to Israel. And this is exactly what he was referring to. This won't be direct payment to Israel, but I have another clip about some purported effects of this arrangement.
This would make Israel an integrated partner in American defense manufacturing, research, and so forth. And it would give Israeli companies the ability to benefit from the American defense economic ecosystem. They could get much bigger contracts, scale up their own operations. And in the defense world, when you become an exporter, when you have large contracts, that's really when you get a force multiplier for your own weapons development, not just for manufacturing, but for future research as well, too. So this is a profound benefit for Israel for those reasons, but also because it would hide Israel's benefits that it gets from the United States as well, too, while also magnifying them. Currently, there's not that much scrutiny or attention at restraining Israel, putting conditions on aid, but there is some transparency to what they're getting. And in theory, if there was a political environment in the future where people did want to impose reciprocity on them or leverage the aid to change their policies, that could be done. This change to NDAA instead would put Israel's benefits from the United States into the effective black box of the Pentagon, which is not audited, which is not subject to State Department approval in the same way. And no one will really know exactly what they're getting because it will be so deeply embedded in America's own defense sector. Israel will have intellectual property that Americans may come to rely on, and it could give Israel leverage over the United States itself in the future. We're not wanting to lose that. And finally, at a time where political opinions are shifting against Israel, this would first of all insulate the relationship from democratic oversight, but it would also allow Israel to embed itself economically in the United States through the defense sector and make itself strategically useful to certain politicians in the country. Famously, the American defense sector, a lot of the manufacturing spread out over many different states to give all different Congress members and House of Representative members a particular stake economically in certain projects in their regions that they govern. Israel could play the same game. They could have Israeli manufacturing contribute to job growth in certain states and so forth, and making politicians impossible for them to oppose Israel for that reason alone. So these are all profound factors that would benefit Israel, and the benefit I think would be far, far greater than the $3 billion or so that they get a year. It would be really a force multiplier to a tremendous degree.
Force multiplier. Mask the funding, increase the defense spending for Israel.
And campaign on the fact that you cut off all the aid to Israel.
More masking. Interesting. That is an interesting point. I congratulate you
now,
on
this
that.
This is a draft version of the bill. It will have to go to the House Armed Services Committee for markup, amendments, and possible removals. So we'll see. But this seems to be the plan. Netanyahu's already talking about no longer being reliant on the U.S., which is a talking point. It's a narrative that is going to be solidified if this passes, where Netanyahu can claim that Israel no longer needs the U.S., and under his presidency, Israel is no longer dependent on any nation, and the Republicans can campaign that under Donald Trump's presidency, they cut off funding to Israel, when in fact, nothing of the sort is happening.
Just a different form of funding. Just a different bucket to hide it in.
Yep.
Interesting. It's a good find, and it really does amplify this reported fake spat between Netanyahu and Trump.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, that's the extent of my coverage of the Middle East tonight.
I don't think
and generally, other than an Ebola segment for later, the extent of my international coverage.
Okay. Well, I got quite a bit of international stuff.
Take it away.
That'll be interesting. So while we're talking about, Israel and I guess Trump, I thought this was kind of interesting and just a little bit of a throwaway, but fun nonetheless. There's a protest against a development that's going to happen in Albania, which of course is in the Balkans, and you'll see who is behind the development in the clip.
Thousands of people took to the streets of Tirana, Albania's capital, on Monday to protest against a luxury resort project linked to U.S. President Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Affinity Partners, owned by Kushner, wants to turn the coastal wetland area into a huge resort. The project is planned to be built on several hectares of the protected Vioza Nata coastal landscape and on the uninhabited Adriatic island of Sazan. Albanian anti-corruption prosecutors say they are investigating the project after environmental NGOs have long raised concerns that it could threaten the area's biodiversity and disrupt bird migration routes. Albania's Prime Minister Edi Rama, who earlier confirmed talks with Kushner over the deal that includes 10,000 hotel rooms, told lawmakers on Monday that the project does not encroach on a protected wildlife reserve. Rama said the final proposal has yet to be submitted and the environmental study done was not complete.
Yes, it's a nice little development right off the boot heel of Italy, right by Albania in the Mediterranean Sea. Absolute prime real estate for development, and no way anyone other than the president's son-in-law would get that deal. So, job well done on Kushner for profiting on old President Phil, that's father-in-law, his behalf. I just thought that was kind of fun. Another quick hitter here is going to be Armenia, which we've talked about as being part of the trip, the Trump whatever economic, you know what I'm talking about. The trade route, pretty much for Trump. Yeah, the highway of goods through Turkey, through Armenia, through Azerbaijan, to the Stans. And Putin has issued a warning to Armenia, according to this clip, but basically saying, You're either in the EU or you're in the Asia realm.
At a summit for the Eurasian Economic Union, there is an empty chair where the Armenian Prime Minister would have sat. His absence was symbolic of Yerevan's growing shift away from Moscow and towards Brussels. For President Vladimir Putin, the time has come to make a choice.
Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan said that he considers it right to hold a referendum on this issue, on where Armenia should position itself in the Eurasian Union or in the European Union. We would like this to be done as soon as possible.
The Russian-led free trade group, which includes Kazakhstan, Belarus and Kyrgyzstan, also issued a statement to Armenia, saying its membership would be reviewed later this year over its EU accession plans, which the group claims pose significant risks to members' economic security. Nikol Pashinyan had sent his deputy to the summit, citing campaign commitments in the lead-up to parliamentary elections on June 7th, in which he is running against mostly pro-Russia candidates. But his pivot away from Moscow is not new. Yerevan feels the Kremlin failed to protect it during Azerbaijan's offensives, including during the recapture of Nagorno-Karabakh in 2023. Last year, Armenia applied to join the bloc and is receiving a civilian monitoring mission from the EU, designed to combat Russian disinformation during the election. Putin has in turn responded with threats.
We will be forced essentially to wind down almost all of our work with Armenia in the economic sphere.
On Friday, the Russian president also drew a parallel between Armenia and Ukraine, repeating his claim that the current crisis began at one point with Kyiv's attempts to join the EU.
So that's good and fine. It's interesting because, Armenia historically has been linked closer with Russia. They're shifting away to the EU. They see a better future there. Unfortunately, they got Turkey on their eastern front, who is very much not committed to the EU. They want to be committed to the EU, but they haven't seen the promises. But that wasn't really the biggest story out of Europe this week. The biggest story, which was interesting, and I think probably a year or two ago, it would have been a way bigger deal, at least in media coverage, than it was what happened in Romania. You saw what happened in Romania this week, right?
I don't think so.
Okay, so effectively, a Russian drone hit an apartment building in Romania. And instantly I saw this on Twitter, and I go, oh my God, we got to monitor the situation. And then I saw that this Romanian city was right on the border with Ukraine, right by that one port whose name I forget. And so I thought, it'll probably just be another Poland situation. If you recall, when the drone flew over and hit a farm in Poland.
The poor Polish farmer.
Yeah, that got killed by it. Where then Zelensky was saying, Article 5, attack Russia. And nothing came of it. Same vibe here. So this is the DW talking about the drone that struck a Romanian apartment.
NATO has vowed...
Oh, they're responding here, by the way.
...to bolster its defences. That's after a Russian drone hit a 10-storey block of flats in Romania, injuring 2 people. Now, the drone incursion occurred near the city of Gelati, that is in the southeast of the country, towards the Black Sea, and it came during an overnight attack on Ukraine. Romania has accused Russia of a serious violation of international law and called... Well, the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said this. Russia's war of aggression has crossed yet another line. A Russian drone incursion struck a densely populated area in Romania, injuring civilians on EU territory. We stand in full solidarity with Romania and its people as we continue strengthening our security and deterrence, especially on our eastern border. We will keep increasing the pressure on Russia. We are preparing a 21st century package of sanctions.
Oh boy, what a strong response there. More sanctions. Yeah, so this town of Gladia is literally 8 miles from the border of Ukraine, right on the Danube River, which is where the Russians have been focused because both are trying to hurt the other's economy, and that's where Ukraine ships a lot of grain out of. So that's what was hit. But I thought this next clip from the DW was kind of interesting. It talks about numbers, about drone accuracy, kind of. I just thought it was some interesting stuff. Did you? So I see Russian drone hits Romania, and I go, oh my God, that's interesting. So I pull up X, and it takes me 2 minutes to figure out that the city that they hit in is literally right next to the border. So it was another accident, and it just became a wet fart instantly. Well, all these other X accounts were trying to drum it up as Article 5. Let's go to war with Russia. I just thought it was kind of funny. But here's some numbers on those drones.
Our military analyst, Sean Bell, is in the studio with me now. Very good morning to you, Sean. Always good to have you in the studio. From your military assessment, this drone incursion into Romania, was that a strategic thing, or is it an error?
Yeah, I mean, bluntly, there's no advantage in Russia actually striking a civilian block of flats. I mean, the two injuries, I think it is worth, if we can, we've got a map zooming out slightly and just seeing exactly where this strike occurred, as you said earlier, in Galati, but it's actually quite close to where a lot of Ukraine trade is. It's not far from Odessa. It's also not far from the Danube, which obviously marks the border of Romania. And across there, that is where a lot of the shipments go out for Ukraine, a closed-in map of it. Both sides are trying to stop each other's ability to fund the war, and therefore the more attacks that can be done like this. What is interesting as well, though, it's not the first time that there's been a drone incursion. The Romanian defence minister said this was the 28th incursion, the first time that one's actually struck a building. I think it's worth noting, though, from a military side of it, I'm sort of going, OK, Russia wouldn't deliberately do this, would they? The Russians are actually firing about 1,000 drones a day at Ukraine. When I was operating in the military, the probability of kill, PK, of a weapon was never 100%. It was normally about 90%. In other words, you always had to fire at least 2 weapons to guarantee one would strike. If you look at the Russian technology, it's probably a little bit worse than the Western stuff is. Let's call it the charitable 80%. So if you fire 1,000 drones, you're talking about 200 drones that might well go anywhere. Yes. So it shouldn't be a great surprise if you're going to fire at targets that are quite close to the border. It's also, bluntly, you're now tapping away on your keyboard, programming 1,000 drones with latitude and longitude.
I'm not, by the way. No. Yeah, this is hypothetical. Yeah.
But if you tap one wrong number, of course, that drone suddenly hairs off in a completely different direction. So I think we're very fortunate on this particular occasion that only 2 people are injured, but it does demonstrate it's only a matter of time before people get killed on NATO territory if Russia doesn't change its action.
So there you go. 200 is interesting, okay. And the idea that they're punching in coordinates for each drone before they launch it off is also kind of interesting. I don't know if that's actually how it functions in today's world. I would like to think of a really cool AI vibe-coded globe where you would just, push where you want it to go right here. Boom. But who knows?
Yeah, I don't buy that they're punching in coordinates.
Nor do I. It seems a little archaic for this late in the drone war has developed out of Ukraine and Russia.
Okay, so you stand on your reaction that this is a wet fart?
Yeah, I really do. More sanctions, because the other ones have worked so well at stopping the Russian war machine.
Yeah.
I don't know. And that's kind of my Europe. I have a EU news about the EU heat wave and the misinformation that's been driven behind it, but I can wait.
Oh, yes. The air conditioner wars are back online.
Oh, man. That's right. I'm proud to be an American where at least I have AC. And I won't forget the HVAC man that installed it for me. I'll play it. What the hell? Yeah, so again, summer's here, so we got to sell global warming. And now apparently people are saying it was hot in 1970 and people dealt with it. That's misinformation. So we'll explain to you why you're wrong for thinking it used to be hot.
Hello and welcome to theCUBE, Euronews' fact-checking show. Now, Europe has been experiencing a spell of unusually hot weather, but alongside the heat, claims...
Unusually hot weather. A spell? of unusually hot weather, a period of time where it is unusually hot.
Casting doubt on climate scientists are also spreading online. This post, viewed thousands of times, points to a major heat wave in 1921, arguing that extreme temperatures occurred long before modern cars, planes, or industrial emissions. Another post references the 1976 heat wave in the UK, one of the country's hottest on record, claiming people just got on with it. This isn't disputed. Scientists agree that Europe experienced heat waves long before modern concerns about climate change. But researchers say that still does not contradict modern climate science. The debate today is not whether heat waves have happened in the past, but whether a warming climate is making extreme temperatures more frequent, more intense, and more likely than they otherwise would be. Likewise, a single historic heat wave cannot, on its own, prove or disprove long-term climate trends.
An unusual spell of heat has been impacting Europe, and then this statement. So they're saying right now an unusual hot spell is hitting Europe.
Prove or disprove long-term climate trends. Other posts go further.
So then he says there, you know, a one-time heat wave can't prove or disprove long-term climate change. So it's just kind of funny because it's like, isn't that what you guys are claiming right now, that it's climate change?
Other posts go further and allege that temperature records are unreliable because cities are warmer than rural areas, whilst others accuse public bodies of manipulating temperature records. The first is a phenomenon known as the urban heat island effect, where urban areas can record higher temperatures than nearby rural regions because buildings, roads, and concrete absorb and retain more heat. But this effect is already understood and accounted for in major global temperature datasets.
Really? How?
Researchers compare measurements from thousands of weather stations around the world and cross-check them. Different temperature datasets produced by different research organizations show a similar trend of long-term warming, despite using different methodologies. Meaning there is no evidence to suggest that global temperature records are being systematically manipulated to exaggerate climate change.
There you go.
That wasn't a claim.
No. There you go. You're wrong, John. Period. Global warming's real. We controlled for it in our model.
That's a great bait and switch.
We controlled for it. We're controlled. We looked at different weather stations. We controlled for it. And while they're really speaking, they're simplifying it down to talk to the idiot world that they're in. So, you know, when your uncle says, well, I remember it was warm in 1950. And you can give them this article and say, no, it's controlled for in the models. Duh. Trust the science. Safe and effective. Oh, there you have it. It's just, it is really something to wonder. Like, why don't you ever hear about these stories during Christmas? You know, why not when snow on the ground? Are we not talking about global warming? Why is it only during the summer months?
Yes, which was the point you made last week.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Sell ice cream when it's hot. Okay, so that's Europe for me today.
Well, let's go ahead and do this Ebola coverage down in Africa.
Sure.
We have an update from ABC on the Ebola problem.
Here we go.
The latest Ebola outbreak is outpacing the response, and the International Rescue Committee now predicts it could become the deadliest outbreak of Ebola on record.
The outbreak is completely out of control. People doesn't trust that, the Ebola is a reality.
When we have fought Ebola in the past on this scale, it has been a combination of the Ministry of Health, WHO, USAID, CDC. USAID is fully gone. CDC is badly weakened. WHO has been badly weakened.
That's
the
why
US,
it's so
of course,
bad.
withdrew from WHO and cut off all funding.
The virus is affecting parts of Congo and Uganda. These are the dire scenes in Ituri, the worst-hit region in the Democratic Republic of Congo, or DRC, where civil war, which has displaced around 3 million people, further complicates efforts to track and contain the disease.
Are you seeing new cases of Ebola suspected and confirmed in the region every day?
Every day. Patient keep coming,
Health officials believe a rare strain of the deadly virus was possibly circulating for up to 3 months undetected in eastern parts of the DRC. And that late detection means the true scale of this epidemic, which the World Health Organization is calling a global health emergency, is still emerging.
So there are a few things that set this outbreak apart. One is the momentum it has right now. There are now more than 1,000 cases of this that are known, and that is likely an undercount, perhaps even an undercount by a factor of 2 or 3. To put that in perspective, the huge West Africa outbreak that caught the world's attention back in 2014, and which I worked on for USAID, took about 4 months to get to 1,000 cases, and that was really a turning point when it exploded. This outbreak already seems to be at that point and at that level of explosive transmission.
Explosive transmission. All because of a couple of U.S. programs were cut.
Now, let's synthesize some things that we heard there. The last major outbreak in 2014 to 16 reached current case levels within about 4 months. We heard that. We heard that funding for programs had been cut, so there were less resources on the ground. We also heard that the virus may have been circulating undetected for how many months?
3 or 4.
3. So there is, we're hyping up this outbreak of Ebola, which is a terrible thing. But we're hyping it up because we've only known about it for a month. We're speculating that it's been spreading for 3 months and then comparing it to the last major outbreak, whose numbers reached this point in about 4 months.
We would have caught it sooner if we had money.
Yes, but then we wouldn't have been able to say this time it's probably worse because we've only known about it for a month.
And no doubt it's being exacerbated by global warming.
Did you just say disaster-baited?
Exacerbated.
Because I really like disaster-baited.
Disaster-baited? Yeah.
We're being disaster-baited.
Disaster-baiting. I might have to get that URL.
You know, I don't know how we do it. I don't know how we do it here. I don't know how anyone listening just doesn't think, how do they do it? How do they continue to expand on the English language to adequately describe the things that we're subjected to as a population with single words?
Well, disaster baiting is registered and no one should ever go there.
Well, you probably spelled it differently. I would have included an I in there for bait. B-A-I-T, for being disaster baited.
Okay, let me see. Disasterbaiting.com. No, that's free. We could get disasterbaiting.com.
Yes, Iran is going to have a nuclear weapon in 30 days. That's disaster baiting.
Urban Dictionary has a definition for disaster baiting: creating clickbait articles with headlines that make it seem as though a cataclysmic event is predicted in the future, typically an asteroid impact, when the article itself actually claims no such thing. It seems like all of X.com is disaster baiting.
Yes, well, it's ours now.
Okay, we created that. That's ours. Perfect. We invented disaster baiting.
That's right. We discovered it in the European sense.
Kind of sounds like a guy that gets really turned on by like buildings falling down or something.
Or certain people that dance in parking lots when buildings fall down.
Yes. I forget what group those people were a part of. No, I don't. Yeah, that could be it. That could be the definition.
Okay. Well, yes, I think I have more. I do have more. There's a continuation of this segment, which lightly and briefly touches on the burial problem that contributes to the spread of Ebola.
Because Ebola spreads via bodily fluids, health workers must work in protective gear to safely remove bodies of the dead. But they're often met with mistrust and sometimes anger from remote communities in early stages of their grief.
It's just because of the burial thing, the burial system of the way they're using, because the thing that really incited people to start now revolting.
Grace Casimiri, an independent reporter living in Bunia, described watching the outbreak unfold and the growing outrage from families in mourning. Just days ago, angry crowds attacked and set isolation tents and treatment centres on fire in cities at the epicenter of Rampara and Mongbualu.
It's the way of burying their members, because it's somehow coming in conflict with people's culture, people's belief. You know, you need to respect the dead and send them off with all the respect and love. But now they're not given that chance.
The situation become really very risky for all of us.
Doctors operating in the epicenter of the outbreak tell us the fear and lack of trust from locals is so acute, some symptomatic people are running away from isolation centres before their test results come back and potentially spreading the virus.
When the symptoms start and there's a really very, very confused, when people doesn't have trust, so they are running with their virus.
It's COVID-19.
Yes, they're running with their virus.
It's COVID-19 all over again.
I'm a big fan of a unified theory in all things. I try to have a personal ethos that unifies my response to many things that are related. And this is one that I gave a lot of thought to. Your reference to COVID made me think about this. During COVID here in the States, there were these heartbreaking stories of people being disallowed from visiting dying loved ones, elderly dying loved ones in the hospital because of the fear of the spread of COVID. And I was disgusted by this, adamantly opposed to it. In the case of Ebola, you could argue that it is the same thing happening and that these people just want to carry out their burial rituals regardless of the natural consequences. And there's someone between them saying that they know better, which is what was happening during COVID here. Now, obviously, the difference here is the morbidity rate of the viruses. If you were a healthy person and you caught COVID, your chances of dying were extremely slim. With Ebola, it's not so much the case. But I had to question myself. I had to interrogate myself. I said, self, how do you really feel about this? Does this challenge your unified theory of responding to natural disease, which is that you should prepare yourself and your body to adequately deal with natural disease, and if you get to the point that you can't, well, then nature should take its course. But I think the difference, and maybe it's just my cope, but I think the difference is being rational enough to observe the difference in morbidity between the viruses and say, okay, if my grandfather or grandmother or whoever, any elderly family member, if they had Ebola, would I still want to visit them and be in close contact with them, even if someone was telling me that I couldn't? And I think the answer, and again, you can appeal to the fact that you would have to have basically close contact. You'd have to share bodily fluids, which is more easily done than it sounds sometimes. But you would have to share bodily fluids with them, I think, is the saving grace of my unified theory in this case. But I did have to think about this. I had to really think about it for a couple of days on and off of, how does this affect or change my belief that developed during COVID that an injustice was being committed to people who wanted to see their relatives who were sick but were disallowed by someone who knew better, quote unquote, knew better.
And
no, I think the difference is the morbidity rate.
I see.
So I don't think it is. I don't think my answer to how I would respond to a family member having Ebola challenges my theory of how I would respond to natural disease, because I would consider the morbidity rates and say, well, this is different. This is a different scenario than someone keeping me from seeing a dying family member because they have a cold.
I got you. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a distinct different cultural. There's distinct cultural differences that are going to be unique problems, and I don't think any level of money is going to solve that for the DRC.
You could expand the line of thinking that I was just exploring and say, well, as a distinct population, is it right or justified for us to say we know better and try to keep people from carrying out the rituals that they want to carry out? Because it's going to affect people who don't want anything to do with the burial rituals, because the people that do have something to do with the burial rituals are going to come in contact with those who have no idea that they did that last week. So there's an interesting ethical discussion to be had there. And I basically fall back to voluntarism. If you want to go tell these people that you know better and they shouldn't be doing this, that's your prerogative.
Gotcha.
And I don't think it's an ethical mark against me to say I have no interest in doing that.
I like Surly Mofo. It says a loving infected grandparent would not want a grandchild to visit. And I kind of feel like that's where my grandparents would be too.
Yeah, I think so too. So I think you would have to, as you're rationalizing what you do in that situation, you have to consider how they feel and if they would understand your choice.
Right.
I would anyway. But back to the discussion about aid, I have another clip, a final clip in this segment titled Aid.
The doctors say a lack of hazmat suits and, crucially, lab testing capacity needed for accurate diagnosis and contact tracing is further undermining trust.
Now I'm in the front line. I don't have a lab. So how, I can have a trust, I'm worried that the population start to lose trust on me.
And much of the lab capacity in previous Ebola outbreaks, doctors and leading humanitarians tell us, was provided by the US. While over the past year, there has been a significant reduction in American assistance.
The U.S. had a $900 million humanitarian assistance portfolio in Eastern Congo in the final year of the Biden administration. That sounds big. It is big. It's one of the largest humanitarian crises in the world. That dropped to less than $200 million last year.
And that cut in US aid, leading American NGOs say, is making it harder to fight the virus now and reduced the chances of detecting it earlier on.
Well, I think it is almost certain that we would have caught it earlier if USAID was still in place. USAID had a network of partners across this region of Congo. It had a mission, a permanent standing mission and team in Congo that was in regular communication.
Jeremy Konyndyk served under Presidents Obama and Biden as a senior official in USAID, working to tackle COVID and international disasters.
So I used to run that aid at USAID. What they're doing now is not any more, or it's not any more or less efficient, but it's much smaller. There are fewer partners, there are fewer clinics, and I think that's not efficiency, that's just downsizing.
And Congolese doctors on the front line against Ebola now appealing to the US to urgently scale up support.
People are really scared. It's our humanity, So my message is, we need attention.
I have
now,
Oh, go ahead.
No, you continue.
I've been listening to a lot of Dave Ramsey lately. I don't know why. I just find the people that call in to be interesting in the scenarios. And I'm going to channel my best Dave Ramsey here and say, why is the U.S. the only country that is considered to have money? Right? Why doesn't Europe step up and fill that hole? Huh? They're the utopia that everyone wants to be modeled after. Why doesn't Europe send money down to the DRC? Why don't they fund it? Why don't the Australians? Why don't they hop off their kangaroos for a minute and send some money over to the DRC and fund it? Why is it always going to be America?
I think it's just a recency bias of this is where our money came from in the past. Can you please resume that money?
No.
But yes, your point, I will channel my Dave Ramsey listener that has not been cultivated within me very much, but say, yeah, why is it just the U.S.?
Take care of your own doggone problems. This ain't mommy and daddy. You're a country. You're going to take care of yourself. Take care of your own damn people. That's my Dave Ramsey.
To explore another nuanced take, this is also what makes the hijacking of committed by nefarious people of programs like USAID especially egregious. And we discussed this when USAID was cut. The people who went to work for USAID and the places
USAID,
like that, to
please.
USAID and programs like that, they had very sympathetic and humanitarian goals. I think they actually went to work there to do good. And it really makes the fact that those programs were hijacked especially egregious to me. But again, that's reminiscing about the past and past woes. But if you hadn't had USAID and other similar programs being used for political purposes, then you wouldn't have garnered the ill will of a new regime in America, and maybe your funding wouldn't have been cut. So these egregious schemes that were carried out under USAID are the reason that these programs were cut. It's not the fact that Donald Trump exists and got elected and set up Doge. It's the fact that these programs were being misused in the first place.
Right. Well, here's what I got a small clip here. Here's what Uganda's neighbor has decided to do to help the DRC, or the DRC's neighbor has decided to do to help them. Uganda. Here we go.
Ugandan authorities on Wednesday ordered the closure of the border with its neighbor, the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, as suspected cases of a rare type of Ebola surged to near 1,000. The decision by the Ugandan Ebola Task Force comes as other variants of the virus emerge and follows a rise in local health workers exposed to the virus by Congolese patients who crossed before the outbreak was declared on the 15th of May. According to the Ugandan Ministry of Health, travel across the Congo border will be authorized only in emergency cases, including for the outbreak response, cargo, or security reasons. Uganda has reported 7 cases of Ebola, including the first case of a 59-year-old man who died in Kampala, the capital, on the 14th of May. In Congo, there have been some 228 deaths. While the caseload in Uganda is not spiking, the number of locals exposed to infection via health workers has been rising.
There you go. They shut off their borders.
In other news from the neighborhood, Kenya has authorized quarantine camps to be set up for American doctors who have been exposed to Ebola while assisting in the region. And the Kenyan people are not very happy about it. So we might see a little bit of strife in Kenya in the next few weeks.
I don't know what leg Kenya has to stand on. You know, I'm sure there are hundreds of millions of dollars of aid that we've provided to them in the past, probably 2 years, 3 years, that we could say deal with it. I'm sick of this.
But the Kenyan government is not rebutting.
No, it's the Kenyan people. It's the Kenyan people who have been direct recipients from our tax dollar aid that have gone there. Deal with it. I've got nothing for you. I've got no sympathy. Sorry. Period. End of story. But Jesus loves you, and so do I. So that's our large African package.
Large African package.
But before we leave, I wanted to provide a statistic that absolutely tickles me. So in Africa, there are many, many countries. Perhaps the smallest country in Africa is called Gambia, or the Gambia, like the Ohio State. The Gambia, which is surrounded by Senegal and exits into the Atlantic Ocean. I don't know how I came across it, but Podscan.fm has said that your Millennial Media Offensive is currently ranked number 37 in news commentary in Gambia.
Wow.
That's right. That's right. So the big podcast listener base in Gambia has said that in the section of news commentary, MMO is number 34. We're up there. We're up there, baby. Number 1 in news commentary is Tate TV, which is Andrew Tate's podcast, and Judging Freedom by Judge Napolitano is number 1 and 2.
They like Judge Nap?
They like Judge Napoli, evidently, in the Gambia. And one hilarious thing is we're number 34 in Gambia. CNN One Thing, the One Thing CNN podcast, the highest rated CNN podcast in Gambia is number 36. So we're beating CNN in Gambia.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're statistically better than CNN.
That's right. Serpent says they only have access to 35 podcasts in Gambia. Job well done, sir. Yeah, I just thought that was funny. I was like, of all the random ass countries, the smallest African one that you can find is Gambia.
It's called the Gambian beachhead tactic.
That's right. We enter through Gambia, and then we expand through Senegal, and before you know it, we take over the entire Sahel.
Yes. We are the Sahelians now.
You know what? I bet that one guy from Burkina Faso heard us talking about his cool camo and was like, we must spread this show. We must.
You know, I would probably take him up on a state tour of Burkina Faso.
I would
too. For the show, of course.
I would do it for the show too, and I would request one of those camo shirts for sure.
Of course. Are you kidding me?
Absolutely. But
I don't want to be mistaken for an enemy of the state while in Burkina Faso.
So I will say this. One of the things when it comes to podcasting statistics, they're notoriously bad because people use VPNs. So like OP3, which is what we use for tracking, people use VPNs, and so you're never sure where anyone's coming from. But I highly doubt that anyone in this world is routing their traffic through a server in Gambia.
Not purposefully, anyway.
That's right. So legitimately, there's got to be somebody either in Senegal, which is, could be close to it, or legitimately in Gambia listening to our show. I don't know.
Maybe that's where the feds have their tour relays.
It's possible, but
Gambia.
But if you are that Gambian listener listening to podcasts, send me an email, dan@mmo.show, john@mmo.show. We want to know how you heard about the show, and
how's life in Serekunda?
Yeah, what kind of fish swim up your hoo-ha when you swim in the Gambian River? That's what I want to know. Insane. Okay.
Very good.
That's our
On
Africa.
that note, I think we should. Unless you have more international or relevant content, I think we should thank everyone, especially those from Gambia.
Let's do just that and get into it.
Millennial Media
Offensive.
That's right, folks. If you thought, we were just reigning supreme in North America, you're wrong. We have infiltrated Africa. We're coming for the Wagner Group. We're going to steal the gold. We're going to steal the gold because the gold that people are supposed to send us, they don't, usually. However, this week was a turn of events, but we'll get into that after we talk about the artwork. And the artwork this week was provided to us by none other than the Dirty Jersey. We reached back into the archive and pulled out this Bill Clinton, would you look at a map?
Let me ask you to look again at a map.
Inspired piece of art. And quite frankly, I love it. It's a good piece. You got that standard Dirty Jersey font up top. I don't know what he's using to generate it, but it is pretty consistently his style. And then you got Bill Clinton pointing at a map, saying, look at it. Look at this map. And I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Classic Bill Clinton smirk. The Slick Willie smirk.
Slick Willie. Pointing right at northern Oklahoma on the art. Yeah, I like it. His face is a little weird.
Top secret docs on the desk.
In the Oval Office with the gold window blinds or treatment or whatever you call them.
That's right.
I don't like that people call them window treatments. Sounds like, you're giving your windows some sort of medicine or something. I don't know. Just never been a fan of that. So yeah, thank you, Dirty Jersey. We've got no art for tonight, at least not that I've seen come through. I don't have my email open, so it's possible I might be lying to you. But if you have an idea for that, go to dan@mmo.show and john@mmo.show. Operators are standing by to judge you accordingly. As you know, we're a value for value show, so we don't have advertisers. We don't try to get you to buy products. Instead, we put it out for free and ask that if you get value for it, go ahead and return it to us in one shape or another. And it would be much appreciated. And some people did. They went to mmo.show/donate, and they found out how they could give it back. And we actually have a pretty sizable length of fiat donations today, to which we are much appreciative of. Probably screwed that up, but no, nonetheless, we'll get into it. So starting off at the top of the list is Tyler F., and he is an associate executive producer for tonight's show. Came in through PayPal with $50 and says, as a non-religious person, I find the way y'all talk about religion very refreshing. It's part of your life, but you don't expect everyone to feel the same. Thanks for what you do, Tyler. Thank you, Tyler. And I don't know if we did this last time, but I'll give you one of these.
You are not a fed.
Just a good guy that's donating. And you know what? To the Gambian point, we haven't had any Gambian dollars come in. Although we don't accept seashells, so I don't know if donations are going to be good.
Let's see. What is Gambia's? Oh, would you look at that? Seashells. No, the Gambian Dalasi.
The Dalasi?
The Dalasi. I like that name.
1 Dalasi is equal to 1 U.S. cent.
Oh, it's divided into butoots.
Is that real?
Yeah, that's real.
Okay, so...
One Dalasi equals 100 butoots.
73 Dalasis is 99 cents. 74 is 101, or $1.01. Perfect. Thank you. So, yeah, feel free to send your Dalasis in if you've got them.
I would absolutely revel in receiving a Dalasi or two or some butoots in the mail.
A single Dalasi. You'll probably have to pay about 20,000 Dalasi to get it across here in shipping. But yeah, a single Dalasi bill would make my day too. So thank you, Tyler F. For your donation. It's good to have you on the show. It's I think your second one in a recent time. You're a newer listener, so appreciative of you. Cousin Vito came in through PayPal with $50 and says, "Here's a couple of shekels for the millennial map obsessives." Cousin Vito, I love that.
On the offensive.
So we've been playing MapTap, maptap.gg.
Yes, maptap.gg. And if you want to join the MMO maptap.gg group, you can email me, john@mmo.show, john@mmo.show, and I will add you to the group, and you can compete with everyone else who's in the group and listeners to do the Millennial Media Offensive basically every day.
Yeah, every day we're playing it, we're posting our scores, and Cottingen's cheating, so.
He's very good at it.
He's very good, and he's an honorable person. So feel free to join. Thank you, Cousin Vito. Up next, Rocket Boy, new name on the list, which we should just go ahead and give him one of these too.
You are not a Fed.
12 cents and says, if you want, I can be your boomer adjacent OG Gen X consultant, value for value. Good shows. I laughed, I cried, but I have macro and micro differing views at time, but enjoy the podcast for sure. I'm a St. Louis native as well, but I grew up Lutheran. Family and friends are Roman Catholic, and I have been to the Vatican in 2013 to include the Scavi tour. Would love to discuss anything related to help your show. The Pope's AI commentary was expected from a boomer. LOL. Anyways, stay on the offensive. Rocket Boy.
On the offensive.
Thank you, sir. Good to hear from you. He's got a blog, too. See if he wants me to share that with you. Thank you, Rocket Boy. Glad to have you, too. Another recently new name on the list, too, he's donated before, along with Tyler F., is Big Fezzik. He came in through PayPal for $20 and just said, Big Fezzik. That's me. Say my name. And I did. Big Fezzik. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Ethan C. came in through PayPal with $10. That's his monthly recurring donation. Thank you, Ethan. You are not forgotten, as you have not forgotten us. We appreciate you. Trash Man came in through PayPal with $6.02 with a thought-provoking question. When you read your own books, do you use a bookmark or dog-ear the pages? And are you a spine breaker? Trash Man. So, I'll tell you mine. I usually use the receipt of which I was given when I purchased the book as a bookmark, and I try my best not to break the spine. I don't fold the front cover back. I usually use my thumb as the divider and read both pages, just kind of rotate it in my hand. How about you, John?
Yes, I'm the same way with the spine. I try not to break the spine. I try to preserve my books as best as possible, which means I also try to use bookmarks, but I often misplace bookmarks and end up reading until I get to a chapter end, and then I will stop for the night, or I will dog ear if I'm just not going to make it there.
I've put like a knife. I've unsheathed a knife before from my nightstand and put that in there if I was really desperate. I don't like the dog ear. I'm not a fan of the dog ear. Something about it. I think about that book 100 years from now, and like that corner falls off because I dog-eared it. You know what I mean? Even if it is just
stuck in literary purgatory.
Even if it is the worst Tom Clancy fanfic, whatever book I've ever read, I still think about that. Susan A name that needs no introduction, comes in through Cash App with $5.55 and says, Big Sugar, OTO.
On the offensive.
Thank you, ma'am. Big sugar to you, too. John, would you like some Big Sugar?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Give John some Big Sugar. Thank you, ma'am. The Nail Lord Gaylord came in through Venmo with $5 and says, Nlog here, OTO.
On the offensive.
It is June. Don't forget to pay your quarterly estimated tax this month. If you pay in, penalties suck. I don't think I do that. I just pay it in one lump sum. Thank you, Nail Lord. He comes in again, the Nail Lord. Venmo for $5 says, Nlog donation too. My battle buddy was in the military, was Dominican. The stuff he used to say about Haitians shocked me. When they had an earthquake, he laughed for days. That's good.
On the offensive.
Good for him. Yeah, I know. It is funny. I brought it up a few shows ago, but pretty much all of the islanders. I knew a guy from Grenada. I knew a couple of Jamaicans. None of them had good things to say about Haitians. No one likes the Haitians for whatever reason. Thank you, Nail Lord. I hope your Dominican buddy's having a good laugh right now. And then Praetor, weirdo of the not so flatlands, comes in through Cash App with $3.33 and says, it's Newsday.
Tuesday is Newsday.
OTO.
On the offensive.
Thank you, sir. That does it for our fiat donations. A good long list. I don't mind reading when it is a good long list. Thank you very much, everybody that came out by way of fiat. I believe we got some boosts that came through too.
Yes, that's right. We have one from Bullysteed leading the list with 2,222 Satoshis. And she says, Tuesday is Newsday. Remain on the offensive. Hashtag OTO.
On the offensive.
Thank you, ma'am.
Fairvolt T comes in next with 2,200, just shy of the top boost, and says, OTO, Trash Man, good cage rattling over with the Canaries, Canary Cry Radio. If anyone is on the offensive that wants to slay some Nephilim, I reckon Gonzo and Basil are excellent missionaries for the cause. Go to CCNT and read your Bible. Is CCNT something that I'm unaware of? Or
Canary
is that
Cry News something.
Talk.
News Talk, yeah. Which I'm a fan of News Talk. Man. That's another thing that happened this week. I was like, this old guy that my dad used to listen to, his name was Mark Belling, and people in Wisconsin will know Mark Belling, but he has this song, and I had an 80s radio station come on, and it was this very obscure song that he used as his intro, which just brought me back. And so I don't know, something about it was nostalgic, and so I've been listening to podcasts by Mark Belling, and he's got this thick Wisconsin accent. He goes like this, "Good afternoon, Milwaukee. This is the Mark Belling Late Afternoon Show, WISN 1130 AM," which is kind of where I got the Boomer Talk 1130.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a lot of this.
The liberal media is destroying this country.
On the AM dial. Thank you, Fairvolty.
All right. Then we have Noster Gang, who comes in with 101. Says, see you next Wednesday morning.
That implies that she's a Wednesday morning listener. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, indeed. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. No streamers tonight. If you want to donate in Bitcoin rather than fiat, you can get a modern podcast app and do just that. We appreciate all donations of time, talent, or treasure. And we will remain on the offensive as long as you remain on the offensive with us and let us know that it was valuable to you. If you want to know how to do that, you can email either of us or go to mmo.show and click around and you'll find it.
Amen. Let's get back in that second half with some domestics.
Get it on.
What do you have for domestics? Oh, I guess I didn't consider this because we were in the Middle East and in Europe, but I do have some news out of South America.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just do Western Hemisphere.
Sure.
But put a marker down a few seconds ago in case we don't have anything else to intro with.
Got it. Will do. So last week we were talking about, we were going through the countries in South America and saying we've got them on our side, you know, Chile, Argentina, Ecuador's got the Supermax prison, Peru, Venezuela fell. So we're going through the countries and naming them. We talked about Brazil a little bit. We kind of glossed over Colombia. Well, wouldn't you know that they are currently going through a presidential election, and evidently it is the most consequential election of Colombians' lifetime, which it seems to be a redundant phrase used ad nauseum today, these days. But here from Euronews, we're going to be introduced to the two candidates that are running against each other in the Colombian presidential election, which has now gone to a runoff.
The first round in the Colombian presidential election left two candidates who will face each other in a runoff election. However, the current president has yet to recognize the results and has called for an official recount of all votes. It shows the deep political polarization in the country. The two candidates that are left are Iván Cepeda and Abelardo de la Espriella. Abelardo de la Espriella, nicknamed the Tiger, is a candidate for the extreme right. He's a populist who ran a campaign mostly on social media, a campaign based on fear. He has promised to protect free trade, private property, and to strengthen the military. He's an admirer.
He's run a campaign on fear. He's promised to protect free trade, strengthen the military, and business.
Of President Trump.
Fear.
And shares his views for what Colombia and the region should look like. Iván Cepeda is the leftist candidate. He promises to continue the current government's reforms, including fighting poverty and inequality, but also contacting and negotiating with criminal groups and looking for allies for Colombia other than the U.S., allies like China. He does not share the current administration's views of Colombia nor the region. The second round will confront two candidates with opposing views of what the future should be like for Colombia. María Teresa Aya, Noticias Caracol, Bogotá, Colombia.
You know, Americans should really be watching this election because Colombia is so critical in South America. And think of the president's war on drugs and the bombing of these drug boats, you know, and how key Colombia is in the drug trade. So if there is a pro-Trump candidate who can also work with our government on immigration versus, you know, one who is more progressive,
right,
that can really have an impact.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's why it's such a critical race to be watching. Thank you, Maria Teresa.
100%. Okay, so that was Euronews. The DW is going to dive into and tell us what's at stake. Did you hear anything about this election?
No, nothing.
Well, this is good because you get to hear a little bit more of the policy differences here. So the right-wing fella is apparently just, you know, the Trump of Colombia.
Of course.
Which I swear to God, if I hear that one more time, the Trump of this, it's like the old business thing, like, oh, Uber, but for muffins, you know?
Yeah.
Something along those lines. So here is the DW at What's at Stake.
I'm now joined by Renata Segura. She is the Program Director for Latin America and the Caribbean at the International Crisis Group and joins us now from the Colombian capital, Bogota. So, Renata, how pivotal is this election and what exactly is at stake?
Thank you for having me. Yeah, this is a very, very important election for Colombia. Gustavo Petro was the first leftist president elected in the modern history of the country. So what is at stake right now is if the country is going to remain on that path, meaning negotiations with armed groups and also doing a lot of emphasis on social and economic changes that benefit the poor, or if it's going to align with the rest of Latin America that seems to be moving towards a more right-wing tendency right now, aligning itself probably with the security programs of President Trump and really a much more hardcore perspective towards those armed and criminal groups. So both on the economics and the social, but also on the violence angle, a lot at stake at this moment.
So much is at stake. So effectively, one guy wants to negotiate with the armed groups of Colombia and be friends with them and focus on, you know, social programs and whatnot. And the other guy's like, business, let's build this up. So if the American theory and America working with Russia and China, or ARC that Tom Luongo has coined, is true, and we believe that to be true, who do you suspect is going to win this election?
The Trump.
The Trump guy, of course. So Polymarkets, I was looking at the Colombian election earlier, and Polymarkets has the right-wing candidate at about 80% versus 19% for the other fella. So pretty stark there. So we'll have Marco Rubio will have successfully conquered pretty much all of South America except for Brazil once Cuba falls and this fella gets elected in Colombia. And what's kind of funny about these global events is I have a sister-in-law that's Colombian and a sister-in-law that's Iranian. So, you know, luckily I'm out of in-laws that can marry. So if, you know, one married like a Canadian, I'd be like, oh my God, what's going to happen to Canada next? I don't know. No, not going for it. Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm a bit distracted at the moment. I made the mistake of I made the mistake of going to my explore page on X while you were playing these clips and making your jokes. And I will read the headline that I unfortunately clicked. Pakistan goat beauty contest sparks abuse misunderstandings.
like that climate change disinfo. That's a beautiful goat. I'd love to get her alone in a field.
This is a very disturbing video. And I don't know if I should tell you. I don't even know if I should have mentioned this. I don't know that this is real. I can't bring myself to just accept that this is real. But, yeah, there are certain elements of the goats that are enhanced, we'll say.
Oh, this is real. I think I recall this. The enlarged butts.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and throw that up on the stream.
They're calling it the PBL.
The Pakistani butt lift?
Yeah.
I don't like this video of the guy that's standing by it and smacking it so seductively.
I don't either. So I have to apologize. I'm sorry. I was distracted.
I get it. This guy, oh my God.
Are you playing these on the stream as you watch them?
I am. This guy's like moving the butt around like, yeah. Look at this bad boy. Bet you'd like to give her a go, huh? Well, pray for the goats in Pakistan, people.
No, I don't know.
Pray for the goats in Pakistan, folks. They have it worse off than you do. Okay? Animals are people too. I align with PETA when it comes to goats in Pakistan. Get them the hell out of there. All right. What do you have by way of American clips?
Yes. I have clips about Lyme disease because this has not gone away. I thought this would be a throwaway mention in the news cycle, but it has persisted. And funny enough, I came across this guest on Fox News, and I thought that I had pulled the same video twice, but I had not. This Dr. Siegel was on Fox News twice within the last 3 days. And the first visit was different in ways than the second visit that we'll see. But I want you to take a guess. At the end of each of these segments, he does these segments with a different female host. So one female host does the first segment about 3 days ago, and then about a day ago, he had a different female host do the second visit to Fox News. And I want you to guess by the two different book plugs that he does for these hosts, because they're Fox News hosts, so they write books too, obviously. He plugs both of their books. He compliments both of their books at the end of each segment. I want you to try to tell me, based on the comparison of these two book plugs, when we get to them, which host is more attractive. Okay?
Okay.
But we'll get there. This is the first clip. Dr. Siegel, first visit, Fox.
The CDC is estimating that nearly 500,000 cases of Lyme disease in the U.S. every year, and emergency room visits for tick bites are at an all-time high in nearly 10 years. HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced new efforts to combat Lyme disease during the Take Back Your Health tour, as concerns are growing across the country. Joining us now is Dr. Mark Siegel. He's our Fox News senior medical contributor, and he's the author of The Miracles Among Us, How God's Grace Plays a Role in Healing. Dr. Siegel, it's great to have you on. This is an important topic, especially as we come into summer. My son got a tick bite. I didn't know what was wrong with him. This was many years ago. He had a headache. I thought he had a brain tumor. I took him for a CAT scan because I was so worried, and it turned out he had Lyme's disease. What do we need to know about Lyme's? What are the symptoms, and how can this vaccine help?
Well, first of all, Rachel, you just hit some of the symptoms, headache, flu-like symptoms, fever, malaise, and you may not have anything else, and then you could mistake it for something else. But that bullseye rash is 70% of the time, which is a red rash with a hollow center. But I want to warn people that I find that rash a lot, and it can be in places you're not looking for it, under your armpits. It can be up in your scalp. It could be somewhere where you can't find it, and it may look a little atypical. So if I see that rash, I tend to treat it. Other thing I want people to know is that where this is really occurring is in the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic states, and over by you in Wisconsin. That's why you were concerned about it. That area, Wisconsin, Minnesota, is a big high Lyme area. And as you said, 500,000 cases a year estimated by CDC. It's way more than that.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good thing. Make sure you check your wife and/or goat for ticks in all of the places. Thoroughly.
Okay. Now the next piece of this is going to discuss testing, and the doctors are going to talk about testing for Lyme disease. And I gather, he doesn't say this explicitly, I gather that they test the tick that bites you for Lyme disease if they can. But regardless, here's the testing clip.
So you don't just get Lyme disease if you get a tick bite.
No, the tick has to be carrying Lyme
disease. Gotcha. Okay.
I congratulate Secretary Kennedy for this initiative. He goes to New Hampshire to announce it, where Dartmouth is coming up with a new test using artificial intelligence, molecular testing. Other places are using antibody testing. So here's the point. By the time the current tests turn positive, it's weeks later. The new tests using AI, maybe in a few days, can guide me to decide whether I need to give antibiotics or not. If I have to give them early is the way to do it, to prevent the other thing that Kennedy is spotlighting here, which is chronic Lyme, which a lot of us believe in. If you don't get that Lyme early, you can have long-term effects.
A lot of us believe in.
Yes. So, a little bit of questionable wording there, where a lot of us believe in chronic Lyme, and if you don't get the Lyme early, you could have negative effects. It's kind of a faux pas on his part, I believe. But now this first host, the first day he came to Fox News, is going to ask him about the new Lyme vaccine being produced by Pfizer.
So this is the same lady in the previous report?
Yes, same lady.
Okay.
All right. And so there's a new vaccine for Lyme disease. Explain how that works.
So that vaccine is a protein vaccine, and it's Pfizer's putting it out, and it's about 70% effective, and it's in phase 3 trials. I think that it's very promising, and I think especially would be useful in areas that I mentioned of the country where there's a lot of Lyme. Now, there's other things you can do. You can spray for ticks. By the way, it's actually field mice, white-legged mice that carry Lyme disease, not deer, although deer make the problem a lot worse because the ticks actually reproduce on deer. So deer, birds, mice, control those. And then if you're out there in the grass, ticks are right around your ankle line or higher. So wear long pants, and believe it or not, stick it into your socks because you don't want the ticks there. That's where the ticks get you, right around your ankle and above. And spraying is a really good thing to do.
So is this vaccine available now?
This vaccine is not available now. It should be available in a few months. I have a feeling with Spotlight, they may fast track it. It's a completely safe vaccine based on older technology. It's not something that we don't know about. It's using proteins and basically peptides to target the Lyme, part of the proteins on the Lyme Borrelia, it's called, the bacteria itself. Very, very, very promising. It's going to be useful. Last time we had a Lyme vaccine, nobody took it. This vaccine is safe, effective. I think we're going to get a lot of use out of it.
Couple of buzzwords there.
A couple of buzzwords there. The first one I noticed is peptide. I don't know if you've seen the discourse around peptides lately, but peptides are the newest online health craze, and they're usually ordered from overseas, and they are used to improve or optimize health. And they're sort of cutting edge. They're new. They're being produced in
China.
China, yes, China. And apparently this vaccine is going to use peptides. Now, he also says that this vaccine attacks the bacteria that causes Lyme's disease, which tells me this isn't a vaccine, it's a therapeutic. If it doesn't prepare the body to resist Lyme's disease, it's not a vaccine. If it treats the bacteria that cause Lyme disease, the vax itself, that's a therapeutic, which is what the COVID vaccine was as well. Not in the same sense, but it was a therapeutic. Well, it wasn't a therapeutic. Therapeutics were things like remdesivir, so I misspoke there. But the COVID vaccine wasn't a vaccine because a traditional vaccine, it was actually something that altered the RNA in your body.
Sure.
Didn't make your body create antibodies the way a traditional vaccine does. So more obscuring of whether this is a vaccine or not, and just applying vaccine to anything that a pharmaceutical company produces that you take in a shot. I mean, under this same logic, we could say, oh, you're on the fat vax. You're on Ozempic, you're on the fat vax, because that's a shot as well.
Sure.
But
it's like calling the United States a democracy.
Yes. Another thing he points out is, I look for the FDA to fast track this, he says, because of the spotlight. And I think that was a big no-no. I think they probably went to him and said, look, Doc, we can cut the vax talk if you want to, but you can't give away the game that we're talking about Lyme disease to get this product fast-tracked for our biggest sponsor.
Spotlight is the sponsor?
No, he's saying the spotlight, the media coverage,
Oh.
the coverage that I mentioned, I hoped would, or thought would just be here and gone, but has stuck around for more than a week.
Okay.
Do you pick up what I'm putting down about him actually saying that because this is gaining so much media attention, the FDA might fast track it? And how he shouldn't have said that? You don't give away the game?
Oh, like
we're covering this because it's a real problem, not because we want to get the vaccine fast tracked. No.
I see. I got you. Yes, I'm picking up what you're putting down now.
Okay. All right. Which is, in and of itself, if that is the game, it is damning for RFK because he has been talking about this as well. So if that's the case, then he's in on the game of ramping up the discussion around Lyme disease to spotlight it so that the FDA is pressured to fast track Pfizer's product.
I see.
But we don't know if that's going to be fast tracked or not. Now, the Fox News host here has some commentary around vaccines because it's Fox News and, we're hip.
We know what they're saying on the Twitters.
Well, let's see. People are very vaccine nervous after all the lies on COVID, but we'll see what happens. It is a serious issue.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's one of the problems when the health departments lie, federal health departments lie to the people. Then when they come up with something that maybe is good, everyone's really suspicious. But maybe it's good for us all to be a little suspicious. There's nothing wrong with that. All right,
yeah.
Dr.
By the way, that's why I'm on here saying that I think this one looks very safe.
Yeah, there was somebody in her ear.
Yes.
Bring it back.
Yes, he gave away the game. Appeal to the Moms for Liberty.
There you go.
So this is the first book plug.
I also want to congratulate you on your new book, All American Patriotism, which is fantastic.
Thank you so much, Dr. Siegel. I really appreciate it.
Now, would you like to hear the entire second segment or go ahead and hear the second book plug immediately after that one?
I do want to hear what the other lady sounds like because I feel like I'll be able to discern whether she's hotter than the first lady just by her voice.
I think you already know. But for comedic effect, let's go ahead and do the second book plug.
Okay.
I want to mention your book, America, I'm So Glad You Were Born, out tomorrow. And here's why I want to mention it. I am so glad you were born because you are terrific.
Thank you, Dr. Siegel. You're so kind. I appreciate that.
Yep. Way hotter voice. You can tell. That's funny. So, all right, now I have to. So, All American Patriotism was written by whom?
Oh, I have no idea who this lady's name is.
Rachel Campos Duffy. We are going to get a little. We're going to do a little locker room assessment here,
okay.
ladies.
Oh, it's not going to be great.
So, if you're easily offended, I want to bring up. So they were playing our show on the No Agenda
Wait a second.
stream.
I'm going to while you talk about this, I'm going to send you the actual video link so we can compare the two videos, how they look in the videos with the doctor looking at them. Okay.
Because I just pulled up All American Patriotism, Rachel Campos Duffy. She's not, she's no Hillary Clinton.
You mean a dog?
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm going to send you this. It's going to be, the subject is going to be women, and it's going to have the two YouTube links in it.
Okay, what was the second book? Well, while we wait for that, I'll tell the story.
I'm glad you were born.
Pro-life book. So they were playing our old show on
it's a children's book. I'm so glad you were born. Wow.
The No Agenda stream, and we had that discussion about gender reveals and not kowtowing to the language, right?
Yeah.
And there was a lady in the chat room, or I guess the troll room, as they call it over there, that was complaining because we said, penis yes or no party as opposed to a gender reveal. And she was upset that we chose penis yes or no because she thought, like having an accomplishment, completely missing the point of our segment, talking about
if we really want to, I think the better title for these parties, now that I've thought about it, would be Innie or Outie.
Innie or Outie? I guess. That has other implications, but all right. So the first lady I got up on the screen here is Campos, and she's not a dog. Yeah, she's a good-looking lady, right? And now I'm pulling up the second link here. I just wanted to assess your bias because perhaps you had a thing against. Yeah, she's definitely cuter.
I called Hillary Clinton a dog, not Rachel Compost.
Rachel Compost? Oh, funny. All right, so there's your daily dose of misogyny, I guess. But who cares? Yeah, it was pretty funny, though, because I was teasing her about how I had twins, and all we do is, tell my son how cool he is for having a penis and make fun of my daughter for her stupid vagina. Some people. And she bought into that.
Oh, of course. She's the same crowd she's the same crowd you experience on Next Door. I don't know what you
pretty much. Yeah, having a penis is an accomplishment. I'm like, that's not even the entire point of the segment.
Well, this is a product for people with fine taste.
That's right. Refined taste.
That's right.
Okay, Lyme disease was fun.
No. We got to hear the actual second segment to hear the
Okay.
difference in his message the second time he came back.
That's right. Sorry, I forgot about that aspect of it. I was all wrapped up on her being hot or not.
Okay. And to be honest, you take away the obviously bleached blonde hair and the makeup, they're probably comparable. I mean, one's got a little weight on the other one, but they're probably comparable if you take away the...
She's curvy. She's a curvy lady.
That's right. And that's right. Okay. So this is the Dr. Siegel redo.
The CDC is estimating nearly 500,000 cases of Lyme disease in the United States every year, and ER visits for tick bites are at its highest in nearly a decade. HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is announcing new efforts to combat Lyme disease during the Take Back Your Health tour as concerns are growing. Here to discuss is the author of The Miracles Among Us, Fox News senior medical analyst, Dr. Mark Siegel. Hey, Dr. Siegel.
Great to see you.
This scares us so badly, especially as parents, and especially living in the Northeast, because we see a lot of tick bites up here. If you find a tick on your child or even on yourself, what should you do?
By the way, Northeast, also the upper Midwest, it's spreading. If you find a tick, you should actually first see whether it's engorged and how long you think it's been in there. You should remove it, but not with a match, the way people think, because then actually it spills its contents. You actually have to use a tweezer, carefully extract it. Then you have to call a physician. And actually, we're moving into an era, thanks to Kennedy and his initiatives, where we're going to be able to test that tick right away. We're also going to have much earlier testing for Lyme disease instead of waiting weeks. Because if I do the Lyme disease test now that's commercially available, it's going to be negative at the beginning most of the time. So what can you do? Watch out for tall grasses, wear long clothing, get spray for ticks. But if you spray your backyard for ticks, it's still only 60 or 70%.
Now, earlier when you said tuck it into your socks,
Yeah.
You and I were on the same page there, right?
Yeah, we were. If you can.
Yeah. If you're as blessed as we are, tuck it into your socks.
All right, and then Lyme effects is the last clip in this compilation.
All right, what happens if you get Lyme disease? What does it do to your body?
So look, if you catch it early, if I catch it early and I have my mind open for it, and I'm in the Midwest or I'm here in the Northeast, and you brought your child to me, I would think really seriously about treating early with antibiotics if I think it's possibly Lyme disease. It's a clinical diagnosis. Do you have fatigue? Do you have fever? Do you have a bullseye rash? But the bullseye rash could look like an entirely different rash. I want to point out a woman, Diana Crust, who was 8 months pregnant. And up in Portland, Maine, in 2021, she got a tick on her knee, and so many doctors dismissed this. Oh, you didn't have it on there for 48 hours. Oh, it wasn't engorged. 4 years later, thank God her baby is okay, but 4 years later, she has neuro-Lyme. We've got to think about that, and Kennedy is featuring that too. He's saying we're missing a lot of chronic Lyme, and I completely agree with him on that.
Got Lyme of the brain.
Chronic neural Lyme.
Yeah, neuro-Lyme. Yes, I used to be a mother like you, but then I took a tick to the knee.
Oh, nature.
I thought he was about to go a much more tragic route with that story.
The baby died. She died.
Yeah.
Her head came off. Just popped right off.
Her head came off.
She was just nodding along to Fox News, and her head fell right off. Yeah. It's tick disease. So check your, again, check your wife for ticks. Check your, or husband for ticks. I don't know. Make sure he tucks it into his socks if he can.
That's right.
Yeah. Get taller socks if you can. That's the rule there. So the DW, they did a thing on young Christian conservatives. I think they set out to do something and then didn't really know what to do with the footage, so they just put it out. But I thought it was kind of interesting and tied into our kind of our talk about a sense of belonging and a common ethic. So I thought it was pretty good. They title it Young Christian Conservative, but for whatever reason, they focus on young Catholic conservatives. So without further delay, here is the intro to this segment.
In Donald Trump's America, the line between religion and politics is becoming increasingly blurred. The president openly surrounds himself with pastors and religious leaders. Among young conservative men, too, the Christian faith is making a comeback.
Well, I would say I'm a Catholic, I'm a conservative Republican, but I'm most importantly a Catholic.
For the American president, this movement has become an important segment of his political base.
The future for Trumpism could be exactly this welding together of Christian nationalism and populist nationalism.
And forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Listen to that cult.
Clayton, Christian, and Logan are young, conservative, and Catholic. Christianity shapes their daily lives, their values, and their view of America.
Catholicism is the starting point. We get our morality, our values from the Catholic Church, from the Bible.
I meet the three friends for the first time at CPAC, the largest conservative Republican gathering in the US. Religious symbols are everywhere here, and that's not a coincidence. Dr. Stephen Schneck is an expert on religion and politics and taught at the Catholic University of America.
Joe Biden won the Catholic vote in 2020. Trump won it in 2024. So the Catholic vote swings. I mean, if Trump loses the Catholic vote, the Republicans are toast for the midterms. The Republicans are toast for the 2028 election. The people around Trump realize that if there's going to be a future for Trumpism, if there's a post-Trump conservatism in the United States, it could be exactly this welding together of Christian nationalism around evangelical Christianity on one side and populist nationalism on the other side. And those two things fuse together.
I don't know why they had that somber piano music in the background. But they're trying
So do you think that means the Democrats have to run a Catholic? Because Kamala didn't get the Catholic vote because she's not Catholic.
Yeah, the claim there that the Catholic vote sways with one party or another is kind of absurd. The way that you should look at the Catholic population is a representative sample of the entire political spectrum. Because I know there are individual churches, even here within St. Louis, there are more liberal Catholic churches where, you know, everyone is talking about social issues and whatnot, and more strict conservative Catholic churches where everyone's pushing for Latin masses and whatnot, and that's really kind of the divide. And so what they're highlighting is kind of like these new kind of converts. I'm not going to play every clip in this. It is an interesting segment.
It wasn't that Kamala wasn't a Catholic; it's that she sucked as a candidate.
Exactly, and that's what you're getting at. But also, like, a separate side point of that is this idea that the Catholic Church will vote one way or another on a candidate. It's not really that true. Joe Biden
They're a megalith.
I never heard anyone say, "Oh, I'm voting for Joe Biden because he's a Catholic like me." And I don't really think anyone does that kind of has that kind of belief system within the Catholic Church. I'm sure there's a few people, but doesn't really register, at least within my faith communities. So I'll skip this one where they go to the boy's house, and he's a new convert. He just converted to Catholicism like within a year, which apparently is a growing trend in the United States. But they talk about this next one. They talk about the Christian identity, and this is where I was like, okay, I'm going to bring this because I think this is interesting, and along the lines of what we've been talking about the last couple episodes.
For the three young Americans, the Christian faith is an integral part of their identity. Their journey did not begin with certainties, but with questions.
The Minecraft light kind of... You know, I was thinking we've got all these denominations. Which one's the right one? I don't want to be wrong. But something really resonated, right? It was sort of this, this sense of purpose that they were imbuing in me when they started talking about Christ and going out into the world.
Because I think one of the important things the Catholic Church brings to people in general, especially young men, is a tradition and structure that other faiths don't have.
They describe a generation rich in material possessions that still struggles to find meaning.
In America, it feels like we have everything. So we have all of these things, pretty much everything we could want, all the comforts we could want, but you have this depression problem with Gen Z, and it's like, why does that exist? If we can have anything that we want materially, why do you have this depression problem, right? Why do you have these high suicide rates? Why do you have these terrible tragedies where someone goes off and kills a bunch of people? We know that we're missing something deeper in our soul.
Faith now guides many of their everyday decisions.
Sometimes you got to cut a little bit of the people out that aren't really helping you foster a real good faith in your life. The more deep in my faith I get, the more alienated you are from modern society. It becomes a real issue because, I don't actually want to talk about like a lot of sex.
People aren't really having kids anymore, whereas people used to get married younger. You'd get a house young because the economy was good enough for it. You'd buy a car, you could raise a young family. You don't really see that anymore.
And so I think the feeling isolated and alone and depressed and seeking a higher purpose, that's exactly what we were talking about 2 weeks ago with the shooters in California, I believe. I think they stuck cameras in these kids' faces and wanted to show how brainwashed they are, and instead identified real reasons why these kids are converting to Christianity. Overall, I know they focus on this group that's Catholic.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Something I want to point out, something I see personally, I see it as a hazard for this movement toward the movement of the populace toward Christianity. And I know that may seem an odd thing to say, coming from a Christian, say that there's a hazard with this group moving toward this amassing of more Christians in America. I think there's the potential that this greater acceptance and movement toward Christianity lays the groundwork for a leftist populist candidate, a Christian leftist candidate that champions the social virtues that we've seen the Catholic Church engage in.
Are you talking about Tallarico?
It could be Tallarico. It very well could be. That could be what he is unknowingly or knowingly setting himself up for.
That is a possibility. And I think that's why it's heartening. And I'll say this, that it's heartening that these kids are aligning with the kind of like the traditional aspects of Catholicism, because traditional Catholicism is inherently more conservative, period. And it does stem with that tradition of a moral code of which to follow.
But would you agree or disagree that their entryism into Catholicism or Christianity in general, let's say, makes them more or less likely in 8 or 10 years to be more socially liberal or be more open to socially liberal policies?
I don't know. I don't think so. So there is, the next clip I'll play does talk about religious criticisms of Trump and how the Catholic Church is pretty critical of it. But I don't think that necessarily they would be more open to these social welfare programs being sold on the fact that this is what Jesus would have wanted. Because there's different aspects, specifically, within Christianity itself, that talks about, to those who have more will be given. Was the parable of the master, or what it was? What you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
The denarii. and the
I know
one
what you're
buried
talking
the
about.
denarii. Can't remember the exact quote. So I think there's conservative aspects within there's these liberal aspects of this helps people, and there is kind of a divide within the Catholic Church of those that are absolute Popeites versus those that are more like our friend Empress Assembly M and her husband Tom, that are more pushing for the old traditional, traditional aspects of the Catholic Church.
Trad-caths.
Yeah. And I fall somewhere in between. I'm not as, I was born into it. So it's just something that's a part of me as opposed to something that I sought out specifically. And so I'm less attached down that route. But I do find it heartening that the people that are turning to Catholicism are more angled towards the traditional Catholicism and not this new age, let's move people across the border from Mexico to the United States because it's the right thing to do. Then it gets justified through social movements. So I'll play this religious criticisms of Trump, and you can hear the kid kind of shift on Trump, but it's not in the way that suggests I'm going to vote left wing. It's more of a while I like Trump, Jesus is really the end goal in heaven. So
conception. These are issues that
Other believes the pandemic also played a major role.
If you look at it, we went through COVID. They were isolated. It changed the dynamics of our economy. In getting jobs, most of their jobs are remote, so they're not getting that social interaction with people of their own age. It gives them a sense of community. It gives them a sense of purpose, meaning,
belonging.
Father Brian Nolan is a priest at the church the three regularly attend.
Young men are just showing up and saying, I want to be Catholic. My experience when the young men come is they're realizing that faith has been revealed, and they're attractive to clarity, to God has been revealed. They're attracted to clarity that's not just up to me to figure it out, but also that there's revelation that's been around, especially in the Catholic Church for 2,000 years. Revelation, so there's a depth, there's a timelessness of truths that many people are drawn to.
A recent Gallup poll shows that religion is becoming much more prevalent among young men in the United States, with 42% calling religion very important in their lives. That's up from 28% 2 years earlier. Among young Republican men, the percentage of those who attend church at least once a month has risen from 40 to 52%. Liberal and moderate churches warn that religion is becoming increasingly politicized.
The Catholic Church in the United States has been probably the most outspoken critic of the Trump administration in regards to some of the cruelty and excesses of the war on immigrants. For example, the Episcopal bishop here in Washington, Marion Budde, was one of the first most outspoken critics of the Trump administration.
In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now.
They're scared now.
The vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away.
Pope Leo XIV has also increasingly distanced himself from President Trump. Most recently, they clashed over the war in Iran.
I have no fear, neither the Trump administration nor speaking out loudly about the message of the gospel. And that's what I believe.
Pope Leo has moral authority that transcends whatever political.
This guy is about to tell you exactly why I found out he was full of hot air.
Leo has moral authority that transcends whatever political authority Trump might have in this world. I think the Pope Leo XIV, is probably Trump's biggest problem right now.
I don't think that's it.
No, and I'd love to hear his rationale.
Yeah, they don't provide it, unfortunately. They switched to the outro, but so that there is a kind of a criticism within Catholicism. Even they point to the scathing, when he did his inauguration mass. She went and gave that sermon to him, and that was a big thing, as if that her religion and Catholicism are tied in one way or another. They're not. But it's just this kind of mishmash of let's mix religion up in a pot with Trump and see what kind of story we can produce. But I think the most heartening part of this is the kids that, the father nailed it on the head. They're seeking community, and they're seeking identity, and they're seeking just a general morality that they can base their life on in a completely world that's becoming less and less ethical, less and less moral every day. You go on X, your For You page is, you got this girl that's like, nudes are in the comment, and it's just a big bosomed lady in a photo of her. And it's just like, that's normal now. Just these normal girls are now effectively porn stars and converting other people to be porn stars. And that's acceptable these days. That's considered acceptable. And they're just trying to seek some sort of moral direction in an empty, shallow world. And welcome. And I think this is kind of what we've been trying to foster ourselves a little bit here. Get people to have a common ground and find a community. And a lot of people do that. Tyler F., he's not a religious person, and he finds the way that we talk about religion refreshing because we don't expect everyone to have it. But I think it is a good basis for that same moral ground, moral structure for which we can stand on. Now, they focused on Catholics. You don't have to be Catholic. You can be a Christian. And I think the same kind of moral teachings applied. The reason why the Catholic Church is appealing to a lot of the young people is because of the traditions and the rules. They want the rules. They want the structure. These kids are literally yearning for a structure for how to live their life, which is sad.
Yeah, and that one place that I might vary slightly is I don't necessarily want people to join a group for the sake of being in a group.
I don't think they're joining for the sake of being in a group. It's the sense of belonging and the sense of what is right and what is wrong.
Okay. Well, I want people to form a personal ethics. And I think you have to interrogate the events going on around you and the way that you think and feel about those events.
You can have a religion and personal ethics, and they don't have to clash. They can, in fact, be in harmony with one another.
I'm aware. And I think that's when you should join a group, is when you decide that the group...
You grew up in this world and you feel directionless, You start learning about a group and you say, well, this is appealing to me. I like this. And I'm not saying you become then a Catholic droid or a Christian droid. I'm just saying it at least gives you a basis from which to build upon. And these kids have none. They have no base. They've got a beach of sand that's going out with the tide.
Yeah, they're exploring communities.
Yeah, but
IRL.
But I think it is. I don't think it's fair to say they're just joining a group to join a group. The clip I didn't play of the kid in his room, he said, and I don't know if maybe it's in the outro, but where he basically, wearing a MAGA hat's not going to get me into heaven, is what he says, verbatim. It might be in this outro. Let me just see quick.
Even among young conservative Catholics, support for Donald Trump has its limits.
Trump is, I thought he was a great leader. I think he was phenomenal in 2016. I disagree with some of the stuff he's doing right now. And unfortunately, wearing a MAGA hat's not going to get me into heaven.
Logan converted to Catholicism just a year ago.
He just came home and he was more thoughtful in his words. You could just tell something was different. That's why I went to the Catholic Church myself. I just saw something different and I was like, what are they feeding him there? Because he's a different boy. The way he spoke, he just matured overnight.
I'm just so happy for both of them because they've found something that makes them truly happy, and it's wonderful. I've got to witness this whole journey. I think Logan and his friends are just looking for, like Kevin said, they're looking for tradition. They're looking for more conservative values. And I think Catholicism offers that for them.
This evening he will take part in an important ritual.
I feel fantastic. This is a very exciting moment in my faith journey that I get to join my brother knights. I'm a first-degree knight right now, and I'm getting exemplified as a third-degree knight.
What does it mean exactly? Explain it to our international
Now I remember why I didn't want to play this.
audience.
Being a knight it's a brotherhood. It's one of the reasons it's so important that we see Gen Z, coming into the Catholic faith, not only because their souls are being saved, but because when they come into the Catholic faith specifically, it's having this snowball effect on others. And it's pulling others out of these decadent, hedonistic lifestyles into something that matters. And as that continues in the next few years, you're going to see a real change in the country where it is this return to traditional values.
For an increasing number of young American men, Christianity offers identity, structure, confidence, and a sense of belonging in a time of growing uncertainty.
There you go. So I do want to stem off secret society theorists and whatnot about the Knights. What they're talking about is Knights of Columbus. And it's effectively a charity organization that goes out and does service in communities. And so you sign up and you become a Knight of Columbus. And yeah, they have ceremonies where they walk around with swords.
All right. I have one more segment.
Okay.
Now, I do think we should mention the riots that are happening in New Jersey. I have a clip, but it's not a very good clip. It doesn't tell us much, so I think it's better to leave it off and just kind of talk about it. But these riots at the Newark ICE facility, I saw some videos maybe Friday night of some people blocking ICE vehicles from leaving the facility and doing vehicle checks with flashlights before vehicles could leave the facility. There were rumors of hunger strikes at the facility, and now the rioters have ballooned in size, not them personally. Some of them had no room to balloon, but the crowd itself has ballooned in size, and you have professional grandstanders there like Hakeem Jeffries going in and inspecting the facility, providing oversight at this facility. And even the governor of New Jersey has said that their goals are to keep ICE off of their streets, protect everyone's right to the First Amendment, and keep things peaceful. So that's a developing story still. We'll see how long the riots hold out. Protests, riots, whatever you want to call it. Activism is really what it is.
It just spun up again.
Disruptive activism.
Like we were done with all of this, and then it just spun up again.
Yep. Yeah, it did. All over the rumor of a hunger strike.
Right. Do you want me to play the clip that's in the ICE folder?
Yeah, you go ahead and play it.
Okay.
Let's bring in MS Now senior reporter Josh Einiger, who is live outside the Delaney Hall facility in Newark, and Veronica Cardenas, former ICE Assistant Chief Counsel.
What was his name? Josh I something?
Josh, paint the scene for us. What happened overnight and what is going on behind you right now?
Well, Ariel, you see a lot of traffic moving around behind me. We're at a very industrial intersection. The actual facility, Delaney Hall, is down. Well, now there's a truck in the way, but there's a barricade that's keeping people about a half mile away. And of course, it's causing a bit of a traffic mayhem in this part of Newark as well because of all that, which actually speaks to the bigger picture of how disruptive all of these things have been all across the country. Last night, several dozen people were led away in handcuffs after protests got tense once again, as the police, the Newark police and the New Jersey State Police were expanding a perimeter to comply with the curfew that the mayor of Newark set for 9 o'clock last night, as local authorities try to take control of this situation and prevent ICE from emerging from the facility and doing it themselves. Here's how the governor described the point behind all of this.
We've set out to do three things here: to protect everyone's First Amendment rights to protest peacefully, to prevent ICE from surging into our communities and putting New Jerseyans at risk, and to ensure that people held at Delaney Hall are treated with dignity and according to our Constitution. Together, we're accomplishing those things, and I won't let anyone derail that mission. We're making progress. ICE is behind the facility's gate and not on our streets.
Get them on that gate. Don't get them on the streets.
So there you go. That's what's going on in New Jersey.
No law enforcement. Don't enforce the law. And that's it? That's all you had? Damn. I guess.
Were you hoping for something else?
Yeah. There's a clip in this miscellaneous folder that had me really curious all night.
Oh. Well, I got something before we do that.
Okay.
I forgot about that one. I want to talk about this this guy at the CIA who's being investigated now. So this is, we'll just jump into it. This is in the CIA folder, CIA fraud setup, CNN.
The New York Times is reporting on what is just a stunning arrest of a CIA official after investigators found hundreds of gold bars worth more than $40 million stashed in his Virginia home. The CIA and FBI...
The arrest was stunning? Did they do backflips and get the cuffs on?
They say the arrest occurred last week after the agency alerted the FBI about potential violations of the law. And according to court documents, the official, who is identified as David Rush, asked for and received a significant quantity of foreign currency and tens of millions of dollars in gold bars for work-related expenses in recent months. When agents searched Rush's home, they found approximately 303 gold bars, each of which weighed a kilogram, approximately 2 pounds. And investigators also seized $2 million in American currency and nearly 3 dozen luxury watches, many of them Rolexes. I'll note that a lawyer for Mr. Rush declined to comment to the Times, and a woman answering the phone at Mr. Rush's house hung up on a Times reporter.
This guy doesn't look like an agent. He looks like your local town drunk. Looks like the guy I bought a beer for outside of Quick Trip.
Yes, that's why he's so good.
You can't be an agent. You look like a depressed 40-year-old father.
Okay, now I pulled this next clip because I'm interested. I'm fascinated by the stammering and the host and the guest are tripping over themselves to be as accurate as possible when discussing this, and this intrigued me. So let's see if you feel the same way about this liar maybe clip.
There's so much here, the web, right? He's accused of lying about his qualifications as well over the years. The Times says that he inflated his academic credentials and falsely claimed to be a member of the Navy Reserve when he was discharged and then collected pay for that. How does the CIA, of all organizations, miss that?
Okay, so when I looked through the affidavit, 2 things came to mind. One is that the guy's a pathological liar. And I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know if that's true. So I'm trying not to slander anybody, but that's how I would read it.
The guy's a pathological liar, but I don't know if that's true.
You know, and
that he's different than than most of the population.
Yeah, I mean the definition
for how they'd represent themselves
the definition
and get away with it.
Pathological liar is someone who lies and, you know, makes these kind of knowing lies, things that can be found out, but has so much confidence and truly believes what they're telling you. And so therefore, you can pass a polygraph if you're a pathological liar because you truly believe what you're saying is correct.
Because physiologically, they're not giving
react.
Off the things that a polygraph would pick up.
You're not sweating when you're lying.
Because how, I mean,
breathing heavily. You believe it.
Would he have been polygraphed when he started? I mean,
yeah,
you think he would have passed multiple or what?
Multiple. He was in for 17 years. So yeah, I mean, he passed, you know, 3, 4, 5, I don't know, depends on what his job was or whatever. So clearly he lied.
Clearly. Or
allegedly.
He didn't, And this is part of the CIA cover-up by having this lady who can't speak on the news.
Yes, well, this next clip is very short. It's the last one. It's very short. And I don't know why this has to be allegedly. I found that this just drove home the curiosity of the way they're speaking about this. So this is the systemic why allegedly.
But the other part of this is there was some systemic failure here.
Allegedly.
They should have caught his, allegedly, please.
Yep.
They should have caught that claim that he went to Clemson, that he went to Rensselaer.
So the guy was in the CIA for 17 years, and he lied about being in the Navy Reserves for payments. What did he do at the CIA? Can we get that at least?
No, nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Why would it not be weird for him to be asking for bars of gold? He had to have been doing something.
Yes.
That they would have said, oh, bars of gold, that's not the most obscure request I've ever heard. Let's hand them over. Man, I hope this goes to trial. Open trial. It probably won't, because there's probably something that's deemed classified and can't be released, and so he's got to have closed-door hearings, but that would be interesting. Allegedly, systemic failure. I don't know. CNN's probably worried about getting their apartments raided.
Well, it's interesting because if you think back to the way classified material is discussed by certain anchors, and I don't have this clip handy, but there are anchors, I believe it was Anderson Cooper, who said that just viewing classified material is a crime for journalists, when in fact, it's not a crime to view classified material unless you're a member of a government agency. So Anderson Cooper, in this long-lost clip that maybe I'll find and bring as evidence, was basically, in a roundabout way, admitting to being an agent. So maybe there's some sort of code that these broadcasters have to abide by where they have to be very careful about how they speak of one of their own.
Possibly. Yeah. Anderson Cooper, he did have an internship with the CIA, didn't he?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. Unique how that works.
Yeah, it sure is. Okay, well, let's do the miscellaneous folder.
Oh, boy. You want to set it up, or you want me to just play it?
Well, I'll set it up. So in New York, you have, well, do you remember the story out of New York a while back? And I'm gonna send you a link to this because I think it's gonna have a better effect if you actually play the YouTube video on the stream, at least for the first few seconds, because the implications made in the video are not made in the audio of the video. So you'll remember a story from a little while back in New York where a very diverse group was they were
building tunnels,
entering and exiting tunnels in the city.
You got to really be in the chat room, man. That was brought up tonight already.
Well, nobody can hear what's brought up in the chat room.
I know, but it's just funny that you're bringing this and somebody brought that up in an unrelated way.
Well, I emailed you the video, and the clip that I have is the video, so I don't know if it's easier for you to do the video and just let that audio play, but you should have it in just a minute. And like I said, within the first 10, 15 seconds of this video, just the B-roll footage implies more than the report itself does about people who are using manholes in New York City.
Okay.
Good evening. These are two separate incidents, very similar in nature, that happened around the same time, but police say it's not clear if they're related. A large response in Williamsburg. The NYPD K-9 unit, FDNY, and Department of Environmental Protection investigate a sewer at Bedford Avenue and Hayward Street after cameras spotted about 8 men entering the manhole around 1 o'clock Friday morning and reappearing around 3:40 a.m. Neighbors just as curious to find out what was happening. Around 11 o'clock Thursday night, the same thing happened in Gravesend, 8 miles away.
They show the people climbing in, climbing out, changing their clothes.
About 7 men climbed into the manhole on McDonald Avenue in Collin Place. They spent 3 hours in the sewer and emerged at 2 a.m.
They get out, they get in a car, they drive away.
Neighbors were alerted when investigators showed up Friday to canvass the area. They were told not to worry.
They climbed in the manholes, they searched, they went up and down the block, and lo and behold, they tell us they dropped their keys. I don't believe anyone dropped keys.
A DEP spokesperson says the sewers have been inspected and the infrastructure is safe. They warn it's not only illegal to enter, it's also dangerous, as sewers can contain numerous hazards, including noxious and potentially deadly gases, unstable surfaces, flooding risks, and confined spaces. Councilmember Suzanne Schwang, who covers Gravesend, agrees it should not be taken lightly and commends the NYPD on their swift response and confirmation everything is safe. But not everyone is convinced all is well.
They just say, no, it's fine. It's not fine.
Still a lot of speculation as to what happened, but there is no confirmation as to exactly why these men entered the sewer system. In Gravesend, Brooklyn, Alicia Reed, Pix 11 News. What?
Yeah.
You just hear one of the newscasters say, what? At the end.
It was Jewish people, folks. If you're just listening to the audio only, they all had the goofy hats, and they're climbing in and out of the sewers. I wonder if they're doing research for, the war that's going on in Gaza. Or I guess that's over now. They're just full on Lebanon now. What do you think they're doing down there? What do you speculate that the Jewish people were doing in the tunnels originally, and what are they doing now in the sewers?
I don't even want to guess, man. I don't know.
Giving the Pakistanis and their goats a run for their money, maybe?
Oh, I know what they're doing.
Looking for Nick the Rat?
They're doing the Nick the Rat show.
Dun 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 dun. So, I love Nick the Rat, as you know, and I've also been listening to George Norrie, Coast to Coast. My God, is his parody shot for shot accurate? Some guy called in and was like, I noticed that they're no longer using the word forward. People are now saying forward with no R. And I also noticed the word surreal. It never existed before 1993. Before 1993, no one said surreal. Now everyone is saying surreal. And that was the entire call. That was his conspiracy, was that the first R in forward is being thrown out, and surreal just was invented in 1993. It's gold. It is gold. And Nick the Rat does an amazing parody of that show. I love it. But yeah, Nick the Rat in the Brooklyn sewers. Check it out Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Central. No agenda stream. And restreamed here on the MMO stream. Go to stream.mmo.show on Wednesday night at 9 p.m. and hear Nick the Rat. I think we get out of here. That's my vote. You know what I found during that Ebola segment? I was looking at a map.
Let me ask you to look again at a map.
There is the Republic of Congo. I've known this, of course. And then there's the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Yes.
What do they do in the Republic of Congo? Not have elections? Appoint people? One's democratic and the other one is dictatorial. The dictatorial Republic of the Congo?
No, it's just a traditional republic where if you don't own an AK-47, you can't vote.
They have a constitution and they have mob
A
rule.
machete. If you don't own a machete, you can't vote.
Well, you
Yeah,
can't get out of your hut to get to the polling place. But I'm not going to disparage the Republic of Congo because, hell, that could be our next African country that really takes off, like the Gambia. We love you, Gambians. It's just hilarious to me that it is literally the smallest country in Africa.
Yeah, that is funny.
Yeah. The Republic of Congo has outlawed marijuana. Meanwhile, the Democratic Republic of Congo thinks it's great. The Republic of Congo has banned abortion. The Democratic Republic has sped it up. They love abortions. Man, the Democrats ruin everything everywhere, don't they? I like the idea of the Republic of Congo being the parents that are sheltering the Democratic Republic of Congo, their kids, from the ibogaine and other drugs in Gabon. Those drugs aren't for you. That'd be fun. But from St. Louis, Missouri, I have been Dan Gehring.
And from America's South Coast, I've been John G. Dew.
And if you're ever in the area of St. Louis, call me, because you might be going down the wrong street. And if you're ever in the South Coast, good luck, because you'll never find John. He's a very private individual.
I will meet with people if they reach out to me.
Meet you like a Pakistani goat. MMO. Out.
Good evening. These are two.
No. All right. That's a podcast. That was a good one. Did you like my Pakistani goat comment at the end?
Oh, sure.
Let's produce this bad boy. Titles. A Wider Swath, Habsburg Maxing, A Little Mousy, White Countries, and the title that we're going to name it, Disasterbated.
Yes.
73.5 Millennial Map Obsessives, Pakistani Butt Lift, Fat Vax, and Rachel Compost.
Fatbacks is pretty good.
Yeah. Disasterbated. That's too good, though. I think that wins.
It's iconic.
It is. We got any art?
I'm making it.
We got some from Chuck 'em Long here.
I didn't see it. Oh, yeah, I did see it.
What is the first one in reference to?
The AC Wars.
Oh, I see. Fat American with his cheeseburger and a proper English fella burning up. HVAC supply. That's funny.
Oh, the manhole cover.
Oh, the manhole cover is good too. I like that. That might be too good.
That's so good.
Is that going to win? I think that might win. Let's see here.
I think you should at least consider mine. It
Okay.
is AI slop.
We'll leave it up for the people. The people will decide. I love the name of this file, by the way, too. I don't know if you noticed the manhole cover file name.
No, I didn't.
It's pretty on the nose, which is one of my
Two
favorite
hole?
jokes. No.
MMO Jew.
Yep, that's it. Oh, that piece. Yeah, I know. I know that piece. Where do I send art? NetNed. NetNed just sent me a email. I don't know if you're on there. Let me forward this to you. That is too funny too.
His art.
Yeah. I just forwarded it to you. I gotta drop it into the Oh, that is good.
I think. Oh, I really like it.
For those that are on the stream here, this is what we're talking about. Oh, what happened? Oh, here we go. More popular than CNN in podcasting in Gambia.
I don't think one can make us laugh that much and it not be the choice.
That's true. In Gambia. It was just a small stipulation. I like that because not only is it factually true, it's also factually hilarious. Although the Jew hole...
One kid's hand is on backwards, but...
I just love the people waving, like, "Hey, we love MMO."
It looks like they all have fake arms, and they have those arms you just stick on.
That lady's hands are too big for her, and her pants are oddly low, like they're falling off her hips.
Oh yeah, she's about to.
She's about to shine us. Man, good job, NetNed. That wins. I love how we say the email a bazillion times, and he just sends me a text. Because I met NetNed. I almost got arrested with him. Where do I send art? Too good, my friend. Too good. If you're still listening, if you're still here, on Friday nights a lot, I like to hop on to the Lotus Effect. That's a room here in on the IRC, and they'll a lot of times drop a clean feed link. So if you ever want to hear me late at night and probably a little tipsy, go to the Lotus Effect stream on Fridays, and you get to meet NetNed too. Probably depends on the Friday. So good times. Anyway, that's definitely the art. I'm going to drop the video stream right now. Thank you everybody for this.